What's good, San Diego? Welcome in to a Friday edition of Gwynn and Chris without the Chris. Special guest, though. Greg Camarillo joins us. Matt Scraby's in the building on the ones and twos. And not a whole lot to talk about, I'll be honest with you today. Not a whole lot of sports to talk about, but there is some Padre news. First, before we get to that, Greg, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I am honored to be here.
I appreciate
Big
you
shoes
joining
to
us.
fill for Chris Ello, but honored to be in the studio with you guys.
What made you say yes to coming to spend 2 hours with us today?
Well, you know what? I actually offered. So I hit Scraby up.
That's what blew my mind even more.
We had an interview the other day, and you jumped me right into an argument. You were arguing about last week's NFL playoff games.
That's right.
And it was fun. I enjoyed it. So I told Scraby, hey, anytime someone's missing and you need a little more than a 10-minute interview, sign me up. Then he said, well, that's on the table. Come on in on Friday.
It didn't even take long for him to take you up on that.
Yeah, don't offer because I'll take you up on it.
Chris Ello out. He's actually traveling. Where's he going today?
Albuquerque.
He's going to Albuquerque. And you guys know how it goes with Chris. He wanted to try to get here, and if he hadn't had the 6 other experiences ahead of this where he said, I'll be there by this time, and then travel takes place, you never quite get where you're supposed to go. So
we told him yesterday before he left because he was like, "Well, I think I can make the last 30 minutes." I'm like, "Just don't worry, Chris. We're just gonna assume you're not gonna be here.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it." So, Greg, we appreciate you being here. In terms of the Padre news, a lot of worry about Michael King and whether he was going to be back or Padres are going to trade him. Well, they did come to an agreement. They avoid arbitration. Michael gets a little bump. He's going to get $775 this year. He'll get a signing bonus of $3 million. That's nice. A $1 million base salary, and for 2026, a $15 million option, mutual option, which means both the Padres and Michael have to agree to it. If for some reason one of them says, nah, they had to pay him $375 to walk out the door. So
that's my favorite part right there. He can say no. They can say no. No matter what, he gets a check for $3.75 million. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing to be a Major League Baseball player with guarantees, and the creativity is always on a high level. But on a more serious note, the Padres are able to kind of check that box. It was never really in question whether he was going to be on this roster in terms of, the Padres weren't going to release him or anything like that. But he does at least have a number to his salary, the $1 million base salary for 2025.
A Jerks and Profar vibes right there. $1 million base salary. But it helps AJ Preller extend the streak of not going to arbitration with any players.
Yeah.
Which arbitration, Greg, is, it can be a really emotional process for some guys depending on what team. So not going to arbitration is way better than going to arbitration.
Well, I love the concept of arbitration. So now I'm coming from a football perspective where when you hit free agency, you tell teams what you think you're worth, and they either say no or they offer you something less. But there's no formal process for determining your value. And I love the thought of, all right, I'm going to tell you what I think I'm worth. You're going to tell me what you think I'm worth. And then somebody with knowledge is going to figure this thing out, which is great.
It's like the pre-free agency for baseball, right?
Yeah.
Where usually you don't get to even entertain picking a number until you get to free agency. In baseball, after you've had 2+ years or 3 years of service time, you become eligible for what they call arbitration. And so in this arbitration, as Greg perfectly put, player off says this is what I'm worth, team says this is what I'm worth, and usually they come to some midpoint and they settle. Those who don't end up going to an arbitration hearing, in which at that point it can get nasty because their sole purposes, each side, is to make the other side's point look null or no point at all.
Yeah.
And so it can lead to some hurt feelings
Which
for players.
is rude when you're going to end up on that roster. So you're arguing with someone that you're going to be playing for. But it's a nice little reality check. You are finding out what free agency could look like in the future.
Right.
And you got to be honest about your value, about your numbers, about what you bring to the team. And it puts you in a good spot to then know what your real value is. So when you hit free agency, you're picking the right numbers.
Yeah.
In the NFL, if you guys don't know, Greg is a former wide receiver in the NFL. I believe 8 seasons.
8 seasons.
8 seasons. Played for the Chargers, Dolphins, and Vikings, and Saints.
And there you go.
What is it like in the NFL? Do you say, I want this contract, and they say, no, we're going to give you this? Or do you guys go back and forth with numbers?
Yeah, so I was only in contract negotiations once, and then I was also a free agent separately once. And my contract negotiations were mid-season when I was in Miami with the Dolphins. I was starting. I was averaging probably 5-6 catches a game. And they said, we're going to start contract negotiations with you. And the first thing that happens is Bill Parcells, the team president at that point, calls me, the big tuna, calls me into his office.
Oh, that's nerve-wracking.
I mean, I was excited. This was my first time ever getting a signing bonus. My previous signing bonus was the pen that I signed the contract with. They said, you can go ahead and keep that pen. So I was excited.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Keep the pen.
I was excited to have any amount of money. The conversation was, hey, son, know your value. Know your worth. Because if you ask for too much, you're going to get cut. I mean, it was obviously a negotiating tactic. Yeah,
sure.
He was trying to keep my number low.
For sure.
But then also gave examples of guys that went for a number too high, and a year later they were cut. Because in the NFL, there's very little guaranteed money. And sure enough, that stuck in my head. But at the end of the day, we ended up with a good number and signed a contract. And I signed that on a Thursday. I tore my ACL on that Sunday.
Oh.
And it was like the greatest lesson in don't get greedy. Because if I'd have waited one more week, tried to get a few more dollars, I probably wouldn't be doing what I am doing today.
Wow. I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why you see football players say, you know what? I'm not going to training camp. Or I'm not, because at the end of the day, they know they could step on that field and in 48 hours, a little more than 48 hours, he went from a healthy player to one that was having had surgery out for the season.
Yeah, and if you don't have a contract and you tear your ACL, they might not bring you back. They might say, go rehab somewhere else, call us when you're healthy. But because I was under contract, I got access to the training room. I got great rehab, great trainers taking care of me, and was able to make my way back and get healthy and get back on the field.
So
moving back to Michael King, Tony, in the baseball world, I mean, he accepted the terms. So that means that he's happy with this offer, right? If he wasn't happy, then he would go to arbitration. So that's my first thing. Second thing, I maybe went on Twitter a little bit too early, and I posted in all caps, take Michael King's name out of your mouth, national media, because I thought when I saw this, he's not going to be traded. Why would they do this and trade him? And then I talked to Tony, and Tony's like, it has no indication on if they're going to trade him or not.
Zero.
So I spend the entire morning with these points in my head. I'm like, I'm going to be so smart today. Tony walks in and tells me that.
Yeah, no, this does not prevent nor all of a sudden accelerate the chance of Michael King being traded. I mean, the fact of the matter still is that the Padres have some open holes on the roster, and it sounds like, at least if you're reading the tea leaves out there, that they're going to do something to try to rectify that. Now, of course, that could be through free agency, but given the signs that we've seen to this point, it doesn't seem like they're going to spend a lot of money in terms of bringing somebody in. So what are your options? You got minor league guys who you may think are ready, or trading pieces to get more pieces, as we saw them do with Soto. And so then you start asking yourself who has most value. I mean, Dylan Cease is valuable. Michael King is valuable. I know Harold Reynolds brought it up a couple days ago, but the reason why he brought it up because it's about value. Toddy has a ton of value. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I feel pretty confident in saying that. But nonetheless, when you're in this situation that it seems the Padres are, there are a lot of avenues you can go.
Yeah, first I'd like to say we love your premature tweets. So keep throwing those out there. 'Cause they're just a lot of good fuel for us later on.
Because, people will comment and ask me a question. I'm like, ooh, That's actually a really good point. Maybe I shouldn't have tweeted this so early.
You shoot out 10 of them, one of them hits, and you're good to go. Right? You're good to go. Volume shooter, man. Just, you're like Bronny out there. Just hit 1 out of 10 and everyone celebrates.
Definitely like Bronny.
The second point is what what Tony's saying is that unless you have a no trade clause, there is some value. And nobody is immune to it. No matter how much fans love you, if your value lines up with an amazing trade, it's a possibility in any sport at any time.
For sure. And given how we saw AJ maneuver and put this team in a good spot last year, you just can't close any of those doors. You can't close any of them in terms of making your team better. Nonetheless, that's really where it stops today with the sports. But we'll stretch it out as much as we can today. Of course, FanFest tomorrow. Believe 10 to 3?
10 to 4. I have all the details. It's 10 to 4. 10 to noon is Ben and Woods. Noon to 2, Andy and Elston. 2 to 3, me and Tony. Or Tony and I. My mom's probably listening and is going to text me. And then 3 to 4, it will be Scraby Show. Come and see us. We're at Section 113 tomorrow. So if you're in the park at between 10 and 4, obviously that's when it's open. So, yes, you will be there. Go by Section 113, and we'll be broadcasting. We have some big guests, too. Kudos to the Padres for.
We're not allowed to say the guest?
No, we have. So the other night, I texted Adam, "Am I allowed to say the guest?" And I didn't wait for his response, and I said it, and he told me no.
Premature tweet.
I know. But we're scheduled to have Joe Musgrove and Dylan Cease on our portion, and I know Jackson Merrill is on with Annie and Elston, and then I know Mike Schilt is on with the morning show, and I believe Jake Cronenworth is on with them as well. So lots of good guests.
All the big dogs are going to be in the building tomorrow, so should be some fun in terms of getting the chance to see your favorite players and see the guys back before spring training hits. Let's get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk to Greg a little bit. He's been through some dysfunctional situations before. Maybe we'll tap into that a little bit on the other side. More Gwynn and Chris with our special guest, Greg Camarillo. Scraby, how do I turn this computer screen off? I can't see myself while I'm trying to do this show. It is.
Just minimize the tab. Just minimize the tab because you got to keep that open because it's running your camera.
Oh God.
I didn't realize I left it up
me
on
the last segment. Welcome back. 218 on the.
Check their hair in the camera, make sure they're looking good, but
Yeah, no,
not an issue.
He does go get his hair cut quite often, though.
Freshly bald today.
He got his haircut today.
How often do we get cleaned up?
It depends on how much I'm willing to thug it out.
Okay.
So like, this past week was 2 weeks. Went 2 weeks.
Okay.
You know, that's the George Jefferson starts to.
Is that what it is?
Starts-
Okay.
yeah,
a little
yeah,
cul-de-sac up there.
Yes, a little cul-de-sac. It's not little though. So you know, 2 weeks is about the time where I start looking weird. So I gotta head to the shop.
Do you need to have a specific barber to have a bald cut? Is that like an actual skill?
It is.
Okay.
It is, especially for a black man.
Yeah.
I must say. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I made the mistake a couple times going after I started, getting bald. You know, there was a long time where I could let the one blade and it last me about a week and a half. But that was like 2014. So imagine from 2014 to 2025, it has just gone away. Basically, the roof is gone. And so I made the mistake. I will never forget this. I was in Pittsburgh, and I needed a cut.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna head down. And this was actually before I went bald. This was still when I could, but I wanted to give it a trial run. I knew it was coming, right? I knew I was gonna be bald and have to rock this look.
Pittsburgh as the place to go for a trial run.
I needed a cut.
Okay,
that's
you had to do
where
something.
it started.
Okay.
I needed a cut. And I said, you know what? Let's just go bald.
Take it off.
So I went in there, straight razor, or not that's the old school.
Old school leather strap.
Yeah.
Razor, the whole nine.
It looked so clean for the first 6 hours.
Not a good investment
No.
for 6 hours.
And then the hair bumps started to rise.
Yikes.
And it was a painful week.
What did they not do correct?
I don't know, honestly. It just the way the straight razor cuts my hair does not lead for it to come through. And so, it's curly. So it just curls up.
And the bumps form.
And the bumps start to form.
What do they use now?
So, they got the it's an Andy's gold coil kind of
high quality.
Yeah. And I use that. I use the edgers to get it low. I use that to finish it, or my barber will. Shout out to Paul the barber. And from there, I've been good. I don't have hair bumps.
You look good.
It's clean.
Yeah.
It's crispy.
I've always wanted to do like a straight edge razor, but I get too nervous with someone having a razor next to my carotid artery. It makes me a little nervous. And I also have a beard, but that seems fun to just do that one time.
It's an art. Those guys are talented.
They are.
It is an art,
They
for
definitely
sure.
are. They charge like it's an art too.
Yeah, they do.
I must say. Nonetheless, Scrappy, you had this kind of topic you wanted to.
Yes, because I've been trying to figure out on the Scraby Show, which Greg gets from 6 to 7 weekdays.
Great show.
Thank you very much. And I basically
He keeps calling it the Scraby Show. It's called the Chronicles. I don't know why we are calling it the Scraby Show.
We know it as
It's
the Scraby Show.
It's the Scraby Chronicles. Go ahead, man.
That's what most people call it at this point, to be honest. But I've been trying to figure out, is outside noise really a big deal for the players inside of a team? Because obviously players are going to have to deal with something here with this upcoming Padres season. But when you were playing for the Chargers, you were actually on the team that went 14-2 and then fired Marty.
Yeah.
So we were texting about this before the show. And tell us, does it really affect what's going on the inside?
Absolutely. And it's only when the outside noise is actually indicative of what's going on inside. There can be outside noise that's just chatter and everything on the inside is fine, and you can ignore that because you know it's fine.
Right.
But in this circumstance, so we went 14-2. We had a bye. We played the Patriots here at Qualcomm Stadium.
Smith, Marty.
Yeah. And so things were great. Like the city was alive. The city was supporting people.
It was a lovely time.
We lost to Tom Brady. That was the beginning of my Tom Brady hatred, which is now my Patrick Mahomes hatred. So that's a whole other story.
We'll get into that the next time.
Yes, but the dysfunction that was between A.J. Smith and Marty Schottenheimer. And it started, I believe, with Marty trying to hire or interview his brother for a coaching position. Was not the big problem. But then when they fired Marty after 14-2, like the team felt great.
Crazy.
Everyone was optimistic about the future. It was Phillip Rivers. It was Gates. It was LaDainian Tomlinson. Like, you couldn't ask for a better core to come back. Wade Phillips had left to become the Cowboys head coach. Cam Cameron had left, the offensive coordinator, to become the head coach in Miami. And then suddenly they fire the head coach. And that's the noise of the dysfunction on the outside was representative of the dysfunction on the inside. And players are looking around like, we don't have a head coach, we got 2 new coordinators, and we're a mess. And that's when it starts to affect things. And then the word gets out that maybe it's not the greatest place to come as a free agent. The morale is different. And so, yes, that outside noise of dysfunction, as long as it's true to what's going on inside, can be a big mess.
I do think it's a little bit different with the Padres because it's not like it's a coach that is having dysfunction with the front office. It's
Correct.
the front office and everybody in that regard is aligned. Mike Schill, AJ Preller, all those guys are aligned. So that's why it's different. But I can totally imagine things, because these guys have to face questions every day, and they're going to be on the road, and those reporters don't know that you've been asked that question 500 times in the last month or so, and they're going to have to deal with that. But I think it's a little bit different.
It is, and you got to have someone there to steady the ship, and that's the whole point of a head coach, particularly in baseball, because there's so many ups and downs.
Right,
With football,
right.
you're only playing 16 back then, 17 now, but with 162,
Soon to be 18.
Oh yeah, that's coming. I was just talking about
And
that. So I'm
NFL
gonna go
Europe
on a
division.
sidebar. Can we? If they push it back one more week, then that we get that President's Day holiday. So the Monday after the Super Bowl is a day off for a lot of people.
That would be nice.
That would be amazing.
That'd be nice.
Would be amazing.
They're probably going to do it.
So coming back, so Mike Schill was that guy that kept everything. When the Padres weren't doing so hot, he basically told everyone, "Chill out, we got
sure
this."
did.
And he was
sure
right.
did.
Chill out, they got this. So when you have that figurehead in place that
a great
evens
point.
the boat, that's where the dysfunction can stop or the rumors can stop. As long as you got that guy to steady the ship, things will be all right.
That is a really, really good point. Mike Schilt's been doing this for a long time. He's done it at the minor league level. He's done it at the big league level. I think back to my year in LA when the McCourts were going through their divorce, and that was having an effect on the team. It was also Don Mattingly's first year as manager.
Yeah.
And so, like, he's trying to figure out his way as well, as dealing with how you go out on the field, take care of business there, even though you know what's going up top. So that'll certainly be a part of the scenario. I don't think it was something anybody foresaw coming, but it is going to be very much a part of it, and is probably it's a great thing that they have a manager like Mike Schilt to kind of help keep the focus where it needs to be for those guys.
How did that affect you as a player, knowing that the owners are going through something? Is that mid-season, and then how did that translate to you guys on the field?
You know what? Honestly, you just had to answer questions about it. I mean, once you show up to the field and it's time to get into your routine and get ready for the game, that's just what it is. You're not thinking about it. But I think it did less to hinder in terms of you getting prepared for your everyday job. It had more of an impact on the team being able to go out and make the team better. It was when the following year, when the new regime came in, the regime that's there now, I mean, equipment got better, new equipment showed up. I mean, those are the type of things that it can have an impact. But without that, you're still able to go in, get your job, get ready for your job. So I think the baseball part will be the easy part for these guys. That's just what they've been doing their whole lives.
The true pros. And it brings to mind what the A's, I don't even know if we call them the Oakland A's at this point, whatever we call them.
Are we not calling
Sacramento?
Are they calling them
What
the
do we-
Sacramento
No,
A's? I think it's just the A's.
I think it's
isn't
just the Athletics, yeah.
Yeah, the
Can we go
Athletics.
Golden State A's like the Warriors, so that way when they move, you
No,
don't have
Golden
to-
State doesn't want the A's.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing. Like, they're moving to Sacramento. They're playing in a minor league stadium. But at the end of the day, it's your job as a professional to get ready for your at-bats, to get
No
ready.
doubt.
And when you go out there on the field, no matter what's around you,
Now,
be a pro?
That's a good one. That's a good subject to bring up in terms of like what are those guys going to be going through now? Because the union is going to make sure that they have the closest thing to the same big league accommodation. That's going to be the tough part. They're in a minor league stadium, and that itself, generally speaking, cannot house a big league club.
Yeah.
And that includes the training staff and all the things that come with it. So I'm sure at this point they've had to extend whatever was there and try to make it bigger in order to accommodate what's about to come. The road teams that are going to go
they're
in
in
there,
trouble. They're in trouble because I've
I
heard.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope that somehow they figure it out. But it's not meant for a big league staff.
So the good thing is they're coming from the Oakland Coliseum, which I don't think there's been
done?
a maintenance crew in there for the last 20 years.
Fair point.
And so the expectations are not high. So I played college football at Stanford University, and other teams would come, and it was not during our heyday. They would come into this 80,000-person stadium, which has since been reduced, and there would be 15 maybe in there, a lot of space, and older fans quiet. Other teams called it the library. And so
That's odd.
other
That's
teams
Stanford.
would have a hard time getting hyped up to play us because there was no environment. I imagine the same thing in a minor league stadium. There's no big stands to look at. There's minimal fans to look at.
There won't be big stands, but I would guess that they're going to fill that stadium up. And it's one of the nicer AAA stadiums that they have. But all that the other stuff behind the scenes, it's going to be interesting. Padres go there, I think, the third series of the year.
Yes.
So we'll be one of the first ones to roll in there.
Check it out.
You guys are going to get it the worst. You guys are
won't
totally
they
going to
won't
get
have
it the
anything
worst.
turnkey yet. At that
I
point.
read that they don't even have a visitor clubhouse bathroom to use. You have to run to center field like we're in Little League.
I promise.
Wait, you're
you.
serious?
I'm serious.
that
They
is-
have to have built one.
That
serious.
is what you had to do when I played there in 2000.
The
Whatever.
visitors ran to
You had
center
to-
field in between innings.
So we're going to know anytime someone needs to go to the bathroom.
This is great.
If indeed they haven't been able to upgrade.
This is great.
Can they do a Paul Pierce and just fake an injury, put a towel over him, and carry him off to center field?
That would be hilarious. All right,
Can you
let's,
imagine someone trying to push him in a wheelchair across
Through
the
the dirt?
outfield?
let's get to break. When we come back, Sam Dykstra, MILB, will come on, discuss the Padres farm system, see what's cooking down there, see if there's any guys who he thinks may have a shot to make this roster or at least have an impact. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side. Volume up. There's like a short on this joint.
I can tell you why. It's because Chris has put it all the way up for the entire time he's been here, and it's shorted twice.
I don't think it's on Chris. You like to blame everything on Chris.
Because he doesn't know how to use it.
It doesn't. All you have to do is plug your thing in and turn the volume up.
Yeah, but you can't just continually.
He's not the only one out of that group that sits over here that has this volume.
Sam Levitt always sits down after Chris, and if he forgets to turn it down, he does the whole like jump thing because it's so loud. So loud.
Sam Dykstra will join us here shortly. MILB. Apparently, not apparently, the Padres caravan out. I don't know if it's a caravan, but they stopped at Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
It has been noted that Dylan Cease looks like he might not have his shade in quite a bit.
Or get a haircut.
Or a haircut.
So you can go to 97.3 The Fan SD on Twitter if you want to see these pictures. But it's kind of funny. You see Stephen Kolek making burgers, Jeremiah Estrada working the register.
Nice.
Dylan Cease, I think Tyler Wade's doing the drive-through.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That
to,
would.
To pull up the Jack in the Box thinking you're about to grab a couple tacos for cheap, and you get your favorite Padres right there serving
that'd
you?
be legit. It'd be legit. Not only are they serving you, they're back there flipping the burgers too. I mean, you get the best of both worlds there.
I should get my burger for free though if it doesn't look like the picture on the menu.
Then everybody would be
free
getting
burgers
everybody would get
forever.
forever.
That's a great point.
It has never looked like those pictures.
That's a great point.
To be completely clear, Padres, as I said, will have their FanFest tomorrow from 10 to 4. Make sure you come on out. Check out the guys. They should be all in attendance for the FanFest. Did you get a chance to see my Lakers last night? Either of you guys? Anybody see them?
It was like 134-96.
Yes. It was fun to see them actually dog a team the way they are supposed to when they are playing against a bad team like the Wizards.
And when they dog a team late in the game, we get to see my favorite action in the
Bronny.
NBA. Bronny James. Bronny James.
He got a standing O I saw on an AM one.
Follow a guy on TikTok that breaks down every Bronny play, and it's the most hilarious thing. But what a great story. We get Bronny, a father and a son playing basketball, and then we get to...
Get to that a little later on. Sam Dykstra joins us here on Gwynn and Chris MILB. How you doing, Sam? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Want to talk a little bit about the Padres farm system. It's been a farm system that has had a lot of talent. Some of that talent's been used to acquire more talent, big league talent. And one of the questions I think a lot of San Diegans have who may not be able to study this minor league system the way you have, Sam, is where are they sitting now? We know about the DeVrieses, we know about the Salases. Is there any other guys in this organization that we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very top-heavy system right now because of those trades that they've made and the graduations that they also had. I mean, I think if anybody asked you 2 years ago, would Jackson Merrill be a fully fledged graduated major leaguer come 2025, I think he would have been surprised. But they've been aggressive with the guys they really like, and for good reason. And what that's left this farm system with is those two guys up top. And then you look at, the rest of the group, it kind of comes from last year's draft. I would say that next tier, the Cash Mayfield, who they took 25th overall last year, Boston Bateman, two high school left-handed throwers out of high school, Cobb Hightower, who I continue to hear good things about, was their third-round pick, 88th overall last year, as a shortstop out of a North Carolina high school. So it's guys who are further away, haven't really proven themselves at all yet in pro ball, but they have some ceiling. This year could be the time when people start to catch on more and more to that group.
Hey, Sam, Greg Camarillo here. Now, I come from a football background, and so I take my football mentality and try to apply it to baseball, and that doesn't always work. But in football, every offseason you find a guy that you haven't heard of that shows up and can suddenly make that jump to playing on game day. In the baseball world, particularly with the Padres, are you seeing anyone that we haven't had eyes on before that you think might be able to start making some noise?
Yeah, I think go back to one of the guys I just said was Cobb Hightower, the 2024 third rounder. Some of the things I've been hearing about what he was doing in the Bridge League, which is, it's not really a minor league. It's kind of extended after the year, just try to get some of these young guys at bats or innings that they may have missed, but they're too young for the Arizona Fall League. He participated in that. Apparently tore the cover off the ball. Showed a really good fast swing from the right side. Can play a capable shortstop for now. He might have to move to second base, but he's that type of athlete that you want playing up the middle if you can keep him there. And I think he's about to start this year right behind Leo Dallas DeVries in that pecking order at Lake Elsinore, with DeVries moving to Fort Wayne. And I think once he gets in front of scouts again and starts to show what he was showing late last fall, I think he could climb quickly, not only up these ranks, but maybe even be like a top 100 prospect by the time we're talking this time next year.
Let's talk a little bit about DeVries. I got a chance to see him up close and personal a couple of days ago. He is built, in my mind, a lot like Fernando Tatis Jr. Same kind of wiry frame. I have yet to see him get a chance to see him on the field. What is it that has everybody buzzing about a guy like DeVries?
Yeah, DeVries is basically the full package at just 18 years old. He only turned 18 in October. He's a switch hitter, pretty good from both sides, good bat speed, good power. Like you said, he's still young, still developing, so he could grow into more power like Tatis did as a young pro ball player. He's fast. We got plus run times on him, pretty good arm strength, but also he can play both shortstop and second base, kind of like what I was saying with Hightower. I saw him a little bit at second base in the fall league. The only reason they did that was because there was another really good shortstop on that roster in Colt Emerson. I fully expect him to play short moving forward. He has a basketball background. He was a point guard, which kind of makes sense, I guess, for a guy 6 foot, but he can move really well laterally. Once he adds that power, I think we're going to really see something. And we saw it down the stretch before he had a shoulder injury. He really adjusted to the Cal League really well, despite being everywhere he played, the youngest guy on the field.
Sam, when a young guy goes out there and he makes that big jump, what could be the benefit and what could be the detriment? You know, what do you want to see from a young guy that makes that jump to the bigs and gets out there? But then what could we be looking for that could say, you know what, this isn't working?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this is so many of these kids, no matter whether they're signed out of the Dominican Republic or, signed like Cobb Hightower out of North Carolina, anywhere in the States, sometimes they come to the pros and it's the first time they've ever failed. Like, they are used to hitting 500 back home against much lesser arms or pitching, near perfect games every time. It's how do you handle that adversity? And the Padres have been really good to this point at challenging the guys they know are supremely talented, like Jackson Merrill. He played Double-A ball before that, skipped over Triple-A completely, and left the industry kind of scratching their heads, being like, why are they not only pushing this guy to the major leagues, but also switching him to center field? And we saw him grow into that role, right? The really, really good ones take their lumps early, but then adjust as the time goes on. We saw Leo Dallas DeVries do that last year. Now we have questions about that with Ethan Salas, right? He was not very good for the first 3 quarters of the year, really, with High A Fort Wayne, but he made those adjustments late. He was working with the major league hitting coaches in San Diego, maybe getting a little bit taller in the box, using his height to his advantage, and he was better towards the end of the year, and then he looked pretty solid when I saw him in the AFL. So the ones who don't make that adjustment, you can tell, over a half season, over a full season, and those are the guys who fall behind. But the really, really good ones, like the Salases, like the DeVries, like the Merrills, they figure it out over time, and they show that aptitude and that real desire to learn.
Yeah, Sam, I find that super interesting. Thank you for that insight, because these guys, I mean, they've been supremely talented since they ever first picked up a bat, picked up a glove, and this could be the first time that they've really struggled. How do you help a player through that? What does a team do to help a player survive that adversity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's explaining that everybody in the game has been through this before, as you well know, Tony. Like, everybody struggles at some point. You can point to the amount of guys who have come up to the major leagues for a time and struggled. Bobby Witt Jr., for example, a few years ago was looking really rough. Adley Rutschman was looking really rough. Julio Rodriguez. Now those guys are superstars. And if you have that capability, you can do that too. It's just you have to be willing to grind through it. And I think today with technology, right, it's so much easier to show these guys, hey, you went 0 for 4 today, but you hit the ball 105 miles an hour 4 times. That's going to work. Keep doing that. Don't worry about it tonight. Like that'll turn itself around really quickly. I think there are more ways to show guys that they maybe aren't struggling than just relying on batting average and RBIs.
Sam Dykstra joins us here on Gwynn and Chris MILB. And Sam, Terso Ornelas is a guy that I think San Diegans are hearing a little more about. Left field spot open. You heard that he may be a possibility here. What can you tell us a little bit about Terso?
Yeah, Terso's somebody who the power was starting to come together last year at AAA El Paso, 23 home runs. He's going to mostly be a corner guy, so he kind of fits that left field profile pretty well. It's just, El Paso is a pretty easy place to hit. The Pacific Coast League in general is a pretty easy place to hit, and especially now at AAA with the automated strike zone, depending on, what half of the year you were using it last year. In the second half, they were relying on challenges, but it did shrink the zone a little bit more, made it more well-known to hitters. So AAA became a little bit more of a hitter-friendly league. But it was great to see him take advantage of that, right? Like, it's one thing to get that advantage. It's how do you use it? And he seemed to do that pretty well, allowing the power to play. I don't think he's going to be a 20-plus homer guy moving forward. I do think he profiles more as a fourth outfield type who can provide a little bit of left-handed pop off the bench. He's not, the most athletic guy. He's going to be below average run times, and he's roughly a below average fielder. But having that pop, having a decent eye at the plate, he can maybe fill that gap in left field for the Padres right now. He's going to be 25 on opening day, so he's on the older side for a prospect. It's kind of the time that he needs to start proving that this can play in the show.
Sam, last one from us here before we let you get out of here. We seem to cover a lot of ground on position players. Is that as a result of some of these trades that the Padres may not have any of those arms that not necessarily are going to be up this year, but are there any arms that we should be starting to look towards that can be that next big arm that this organization has?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take the long view, I do think Cash Mayfield, he is that next guy outside the top 100 for us in the Padres system. It's a really good fastball, a pretty good curveball, plus changeup, above average control, 6'4" left-hander. I mean, he's got all the ingredients there. It's just how is he going to put them together over 80, 90, maybe even 100 innings this year in his first full season. We'll see how that comes along. But I think he has the possibility to be the next big arm in the system. But if you're looking at somebody who I think could impact the major league roster this year, I think it's Braden Nett, who touched Double-A at the tail end last year. He's going to be 23 in June, so he's still on the younger side. Really good fastball, really good slider. If he can just stay out there more consistently, that's stuff that San Diego is more than willing to push pretty quickly and potentially help out of the bullpen. I think they want him to be a starter. It's still relatively early days in his career, but if everything comes together, I think Braden Nett could be a very quick climber.
Sam, great stuff, man. We appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us. We'll check in again, hopefully sometime during spring training.
Yeah, thanks so much for this, Tony. And I just got to say, this has been a real joy for me as somebody who saw you back in the Cape League a while back. I remember standing outside the dugout waiting for your autograph.
That's
but,
cool.
For us to cross paths like this again is really neat. Thanks so much for having me.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Sam. Sam Dykstra, MILB, just kind of breaking down some of the Padres farm system. We know it's been taxed a little bit over the years to bring in great talent, and sounds like right now in the process of building. I didn't even get around to asking Sam about the 3 international guys when the Padres had to pivot off of the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. They immediately signed 3 guys. Don't know how much information Sam had on them. I kind of slipped my mind. So
That's okay. I read a lot about them, Tony, and
I'm sure you did.
I'm not going to be as
expert.
good. I'm not going to be as good as Sam Dykstra, but I can tell you that, like you said, they signed 3 of the top 40.
Thank you,
No,
Screen.
the pitcher that they signed, who's his name is escaping me right now, but the pitcher that they signed, he was the next best
Great
arm.
reading stuff right there.
He was the next
Put
best
together.
arm of the
Out of the-
international.
he was right after
It was
Roki.
Roki, and then
This
his
young
name's
man.
Johan Duran.
You wanna check?
Yeah.
Okay, let's check. Let's just, instead of guessing, let's go ahead and check.
Fine.
It does sound like so. I mean, listen, the Padres, and so we were asking a question earlier about whether they have somebody down on the lower levels that can come up. It doesn't sound like that right now. As good as lovely as DeVries and Salas sound right now, they aren't ready to contribute. And it didn't sound like there's an arm there. So how else will those arms come? They're going to have to come via trade or free agency.
There's never been a reason not to trust that AJ won't go find
Zero.
a way to make something
Zero
happen. He's
reason.
always figured it out. Now, it looks like we haven't made any moves. The team hasn't brought anybody new in. But I can't imagine that A.J. Preller is just sitting back and saying, you know what, we were decent last year. Let's just ride the wave this year.
Yeah,
He's got something cooking.
He does. I have no doubt. And
Yep.
I haven't talked to AJ. I haven't, played any hoop with him as of late. So I don't have any information. But his track record would tell you that he can't sit on his hand. He just doesn't do. That's not his thing.
He's in the kitchen. He's stirring his
cooking.
pot. He's cooking
Let
something
that man
up.
cook, as
Yeah,
they
let
like
him
to say.
cook. Pitcher's name is Carlos Alvarez, so I was very
You're close.
Wait,
Really close.
Yes,
Almost
I know.
had it.
I know. But guess what?
Carlos Alvarez.
The highest rated one, his name is Johan or Joan De La Cruz, and then you got
So highest rated Padre signing? Or just
Padre
player?
signing. That's a shortstop.
Okay. Okay.
Carlos
So you just got
Alvarez is a
the name
pitcher.
mixed up.
Yes, and then
So at
lots
least
of
that
interesting
name
names.
actually existed
Half
on the
credit.
list,
I'll
right?
give him half credit.
Yes, but it's funny that the Padres signed 2 more shortstops from the international.
At this point, it
You know,
shouldn't
put-
even be a surprise. Like
Put the athletes
shorts-
out there.
At this point, the shortstops. There's what? How many on the field? Well, last
There's
year.
one. There's one on the field.
Last year there was what? Profar was a former shortstop. Merrill was a former shortstop.
Toddy.
Kim.
Kim,
Jake.
Crone. I mean, like,
Xander.
I think there's a strategy
Manny.
to
There's
that.
7 shortstops.
Tony, tell me if I'm wrong, but when you're growing up as a kid, the best athlete plays shortstop.
Yes.
So,
The
sign
best
up a couple
athletes
more
play
athletes. You
shortstop,
can move them around.
center field. And then you can move them around.
So I'd rather take an athlete and just put him out there.
I think that has always been AJ's kind of MO. He wants the athlete, and now he's what I think has gotten better over time is you getting the athlete and the makeup with it. That's how you get a Jackson Merrill, someone who is not only an athlete but like eats, sleeps, drinks baseball. Like that's what he wants to do. Those guys all have great opportunity and a great chance to be great because of the makeup along with the athleticism.
And that's what it sounded like Sam Dykstra was telling us about DeVries. Is athlete, 6 feet, 180. He's 18 years old, so he's going to gain some weight. But that movement, that athleticism, he said he moves nice laterally. You can find somewhere to put an athlete on the
Tell
field.
you what, he's already well connected here in San Diego. He ended up at the same barbershop that I was at yesterday, and he didn't talk to me. So he's going to the right spot to get his cut. I know that. The man's looking
Who
clean.
was it, Paul, you said?
Paul,
Paul.
yeah.
Shout out to Paul.
Paul the barber. He was showing me pictures like, what is he doing there? He's like, yeah, he got the call.
Secrets out.
Apparently so. All right, first hour in the can, second hour on the way. Little daily gambit with Greg Camarillo. More Gwynn and Chris. All right, into the 3 o'clock hour. Just hanging out with my man Greg Camarillo.
Hey, happy
Special
to be here.
guest today. He decided to give up 2 hours of his life to come in here and hang with me and you, Scrape.
When I asked Tony, "Hey, you cool with Greg coming in to host for 2 hours?" And he said, "No." And I said, "What? Why?" He goes, "He needs to be here for all 4."
Wow.
I was
And I was like, "No."
You gotta get a half shift. You know?
Yes, you do get a half
Put
shift.
my toes in the water a little bit without diving all the way in.
Scravy made me realize, you don't want him for the 2? I was like, no, I want him for the 2. Be nice if he wanted to do all 4, but
Hey, I'm
beggars
honored.
can't be choosing.
Next time, you're just warming up.
There you go.
We got a daily gambit. Greg, I don't know if you know how the daily gambit works, but we give our fake little bets,
All right.
fake money. But we haven't said it in a while. Gamblers, about gambling, what's the word?
Responsibly?
Responsibly.
I always start with that.
Well, me and Chris haven't really
Yeah,
been
that's
on
true.
them
That's
lately,
true.
so-
Scraby's for, to remind the folks to be responsible.
And then I go make my parlay.
Exactly. Your 5-team parlay.
Yes.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the daily gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is a mortal lock.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. Let's get into the bets that we did yesterday, and then we'll go right into Greg Camarillo's favorite bets for the Super Bowl, which
Yeah.
are the novelty props.
Prop bets.
Which is great that someone in this room is liking the novelty props. Every year, I get the pushback about who cares about the Gatorade
Love
scrape.
them.
So we'll get into those in a second.
You know what, Scrape? You over here front because Greg is in here. Dog, we enjoy. Matter of fact, I think we must have spent way more time than we should have on what color the Gatorade flavor was going to be last year.
It's super important. I got a story about that when we get
I
there, too.
am, I am trying to be cooler than I am, I guess, because Greg's in studio.
He's
so.
acting all brand new in here because
Brand new.
I'm honored,
Camarillo's
Scrapes.
in
I'm
here.
honored.
All right, Pepperdine and at USD last night, basketball, Pepperdine 3-point favorites. We chose Pepperdine. Pepperdine won 98-90. UCSD is getting shout-outs from all over the country
Yeah, they
now
are.
from reporters.
Open.
They were a 7.5-point favorite against whoever they played, I forget. And UCSD won 74-63. We all chose UCSD, so we get that one. Minnesota women's at USC women's basketball. We all chose USC, and USC won by 13. Did they cover? on
Of
that
course
one?
they covered. Oh, you didn't put the line down, did you?
I didn't.
No,
No,
you
I
didn't.
wasn't really paying attention yesterday,
That's odd.
to be honest.
You're literally writing it down like blindly, like not paying attention. You just.
Yes.
13 points seems like a cover.
That seems like a cover.
It does seem like a cover, but it's women's basketball, so it could definitely not be a cover. Give me a second. And while we're saying this, Chris is out right now because he's heading to Albuquerque. He's going to be back on Monday. Greg Camarillo, friend of the show, is in right now. Finally found it, everybody.
That was
I'll
a
update-
great stall
That was
right
nice.
there.
And I'm updating my LinkedIn right now. Friend of the show. It feels special. I like that.
I have no idea. I can't find the it doesn't matter.
Wow.
We win. I can't find the line anywhere on my
Wow.
apps. I don't know.
Anybody out there, if in the chat, help this guy out.
I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't say the spread.
Because you didn't put it.
Yes, but on the app it should say it. It should say it on the app.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Lakers were 9-point favorites at the Wizards. I almost said the Wiz, and then I felt like that was going to be weird.
It was.
We all took the Lakers, and they won 134-96, so they covered no problem.
SC was minus 17.5.
Oh,
They did not.
cover.
See?
See, good thing we
Yeah.
checked. Good thing Greg was here.
Yeah, where did you find that number?
It's just Google.
Uh-oh.
Machine.
Sometimes
You're fitting in so great today, Greg.
Why did I reach out to you again? No, I'm just kidding.
My bad. I'll keep my mouth shut.
No. This is why we have you in. LeBron James or Anthony Edwards? Who scored more last night? Chris said Ant-Man. Tony and I said LeBron. LeBron had 24. Ant-Man had 36.
LeBron was chilling. He had an early night last night.
I get that. I played basketball for 2 days in a row. I'm 42 years old.
Played 2 days in a row?
And I'm hurting.
Yes.
Hurting.
Yes.
I can't imagine playing real basketball,
let me
adult
tell you,
NBA basketball.
I'm out here running miles just to get myself ready to play when I go to Arizona. Because usually I get 2-3 games in a row and then a growing, hammy, something.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get in shape to play some pickup basketball. How about that? That's how old I am.
Struggle is real.
The final bet: Kings at the LA Kings at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay -1.5 on the puck line. Chris and I said Kings. Tony finally went against the Kings, and it worked out for you this time, Tony, because the Lightning won 3-0. Now,
how about that? I finally bet against the Kings, and it goes
worked
my way.
And
did you get 100%?
No. The Juju.
Well, you didn't have a spread, so it's not your fault. That's
true.
That's
true.
I usually write those spreads down, and I will next time. Chris always has our records, but I think Tony had a really, really good week.
I did.
Honestly, maybe lost 3 or something.
No, I think I lost 5 when it was all said and done, but
that's good.
I had a lot of wins, though.
That's good.
I won some money this week.
All right, Greg, have you ever been a guy who was able to call the coin toss on the middle of the field in your playing career?
That's a good question. No, I don't think so. I think I've been out there, but I would have deferred to somebody that had a little more confidence in calling something.
So you wouldn't be confident?
Right? No, I think I'd tell one of the guys next to me, this is you. Go ahead. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. Would you pick heads or tails, though?
They say tails never fails, and there's no saying for heads, so you may as well go tails.
There's no saying for
heads
tails.
And you're deads.
That's not a good saying. I'd go tails.
Okay. Well, both of them are plus 100. This might be the dumbest bet on the books.
It's just a way to get the game started.
I guess
Win a bet, lose a bet.
But as we say,
playing roulette and picking red or black.
That is what someone said yesterday about the coin toss. I'm gonna have to see which side is heavier before I make my decision.
Yeah, have you ever touched one of these game coins?
I have.
They're
heavy. But so you got to get it right. You can't have a little coin flying and catching some wind, missing the spot.
That's what I'm saying. We talked about this yesterday. The coins that they have at the Super Bowl are so big, you can't even flip it. You gotta flip it like
3 guys have to
I'm glad we got a camera on you. That was quite emotion right there. That's not how they flip it, but that's okay.
I'm saying you can't flip it with your thumb. The thing is too big.
I mean, maybe they're training. Practice warming up for pickup basketball. Maybe the refs are in the corner.
Not warming up,
flips.
training for pickup basketball. There's a difference.
I would be really good at training for thumb flipping, but then the Super Bowl always has some older person that gets to flip the coin, and then
this isn't a young spry thumb at this point.
No, that's also a lot of pressure. Not just making the bet, but flipping the actual coin.
The prerequisite is you have to send us a video of you flipping a coin, so we know you can actually do it. All right, Gatorade color. Now the favorite is purple, plus 175.
What was it? Do we remember what it was last year?
I think I'm gonna look it up. Greg, you had a story though.
Yeah, so this is my favorite part. I always thought that if you just know someone on the inside, you could go win this bet. If you happen to know whoever's singing the national anthem, just extend it a little bit. One of my trainers from Miami is now a trainer with the Philadelphia Eagles. The trainers make the Gatorade, so I sent him an Instagram message today. I said, "Hey man, let's make sure it's red." But then also, threw another message that said, "I understand you could get fired for this, so pretend like this message didn't exist."
It will self-destruct.
But you got an inside guy. Put 20 grand on it. Tell him to make it red.
Whew. See, this right here is why we get players caught up.
Yep.
We're starting to get more of them.
Yep.
Because that is the thought, right? It ain't that hard just to hit up the trainer and be like, "Hey man, make that orange this week."
And towards the end of the game, if there's other colors, just pour them out on the sideline.
100%.
No
one will ever know.
No one will know. Totally normal.
Last year was purple. So purple is, I guess they're assuming the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, they're going to go back to it.
And then it goes orange, yellow, green, red, blue, clear, and no Gatorade bath.
What
is
about
one of them.
the white one, the like Arctic Ice or
Yeah,
whatever,
that's the
whatever
clear
they call
one.
that?
$8.50 plus $8.50.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now you can win. You can win.
Ice.
You can win some money on that. 8 plus $8.50.
Oh yeah, if you put down $100, you get $850 if they dump that Arctic
I like that
Ice
flavor.
on
That's a
them.
good flavor right there.
Arctic Ice?
It's a refreshing flavor for hot days for sure.
Greg, we did a countdown, which is like top 5 or something, and we did it on Gatorades, and I just started saying like blue, red. But no, like people wouldn't let me do that. They wanted me to go and get.
He's
like,
not a. You could tell that he hasn't had a lot of Gatorade in his life.
He winked. Tony winked when he said that.
What did they want? Like flavors?
Yes,
they wanted flavors.
They wanted the Arctic Ice, as you said.
Oh, it's colors. It's
Fr-
like Kool-Aid,
yeah.
right? Like,
Riptide-
you don't
Riptide
describe
Rush.
Kool-Aid flavors. It's Kool-Aid colors.
Yeah, I mean that's
red Gatorade.
that's the basic Gatorades though.
Oh,
Red,
that's fair. I
orange,
did call
yellow.
it, yeah.
You know, you went straight for a name. You
But
didn't even.
Arctic Ice, is that a flavor?
Yeah, I guess it's
definitely a
water.
flavor.
it's water.
Not in
It
this
is
case.
actually. If you
Not
really,
in Gatorade's flavor profile.
I get those little powders, the Gatorade
Yeah,
Zero
yeah,
powders,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the Arctic Cherry Ice is so gross.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
gross.
but we got to get going though.
Yeah, we do. I'm sorry, Greg. What was your color? You said red.
I'm red.
Plus 425.
All
Will
right.
there be a flea flicker?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Plus
Yeah.
200.
Let's do it.
Time of first drive. 11:40 or more left in the quarter.
Ooh.
11:39 or less left in the quarter.
We're gonna
That's a good one. Actually.
less time because if the Eagles get the ball, you know they're running it, and that's just gonna extend
Yeah. That's a good point.
extend the clock. Saquon time right
Saquon
away.
time, yeah. Just give it to him. Let the clock run.
Yeah.
I like that. They're both minus 110, but those are some of the novelty props that are up for right now. And they also have like Taylor Swift props and things that we aren't talking about today.
All right, we got a countdown later on in this hour. Next, though, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I'm interested to get Greg's opinion on this. I believe Stephen A. Smith asked Cam Newton if he would rather have the championship or give up the MVP, or if he could give up the MVP to have the championship. And he said no. I want to talk to a guy who's been on the gridiron, see what his opinion is.
I'm right here.
No, not you. On the other side, here's some traffic.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center.
Sorry, I had to let that breathe a little bit. 3:19 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Greg Camarillo joins us here as our special guest today. And, of course, Matt Scraby. Mr. L.O. is traveling, headed to the Kirk, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
He loves going there because he loves Breaking Bad so much that I think he might do the tour again.
He said he's done the tour before, and he said it's pretty much, those poor people probably hate.
They moved. They moved recently. They sold the house and moved because people just at all hours of the night are knocking on the door, walking through the backyard, all that stuff.
I would move too.
Yeah.
Well, if I lived in Albuquerque,
First of all,
I would probably move.
I understand that it is it's from Breaking Bad. But walking into somebody's backyard is wild.
Wild.
I mean, like, there's so many bad things that can happen to you walking in somebody else's backyard.
Yeah, it's not good.
Kind of crazy.
Not good.
But I've realized in 2025, not a lot of feel out there. They don't understand why it's probably a bad idea to be walking in somebody's backyard. Just saying. We are into hour number 2 of this show and haven't talked any football. Super Bowl getting a little bit closer. We're still, 9 days away before we have some action. But I thought with Greg here, one of the subjects we covered yesterday, I thought was interesting, but it was just me, Chris, and Scrape. Not as somebody who's actually played the game of football, but since we have you here, Greg, Cam Newton, Stephen A. Smith, let's just hear from him.
We've got a former league MVP right here on the set right now in Cam. I ask you, Cam, if you could give back that league MVP for a Super Bowl championship, would you do it?
No.
Oh.
Really?
Really?
Why?
Because you have to ask it through this lens. That was a very journalistic viewpoint or vantage point or response, Stephen A. I'll ask you this question, and, just to pose this thought. What's more important, impact or championships? You look at a guy like Allen Iverson, you stood up on the table and blah, 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 blah. Everybody's not going to be Michael Jordan. Everybody's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's not going to be these individuals who have the luxury of saying, hey, I not only dominated this sport, but I also have championships to back it. Like, let me remind you, Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Respectfully, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl.
So I thought initially when he said it, I kind of scrunched my face up like, what? But after he kind of explained it, I could at least see where he was coming from as a guy who had a pretty long career, got to a Super Bowl, wasn't able to win it, but also was a dude in the league at one point and won an MVP. I could see someone in his position taking that position.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with him. And my opinion would have changed. If you asked me while I'm playing, while I'm a member of a team, Super Bowl victory, hands down.
I'm sure his opinion would change if that was the
because
case.
you feel like you're part of a team. You feel like you're part of this group of guys banding together to go win this championship. Every time the Super Bowl comes around, I still get jealous of these guys. I'm like, oh man, I would love to have that feeling. Like, is it too late for me to join a team and go feel that? But now, having been removed from the game for over a decade, and you're talking legacy. At work the other day, there's always these little questions on a whiteboard, and it said, who was better in their prime, Michael Vick or Cam Newton? And I immediately wanted to put Michael Vick because he was amazing. But then I thought, Cam Newton was an MVP.
Yeah.
And so you go into legacy at that point. MVP looks better for your personal legacy than Super Bowl champion. So to be able to say, I was the very best player in the very best league, literally the best human in existence at this sport at this time, that's hard to beat.
Right, because I think that's the point he would go on to make in that segment was that, at the end of the day, I could say that I think he said, I did my part, is what he said at the end of the day. Because a lot of guys on that team can say I'm a Super Bowl champion. But none of them may not be able to ever say that.
I've got friends that claim Super Bowl championships that literally didn't touch the field that entire year. And they can claim Super Bowl championships. I'm not taking anything away from them, but it doesn't have that same ring as I was an MVP. That's wild.
It was an interesting question that I was, I give Cam a lot of credit for answering it very honestly. I mean, he said nope.
No, instantly, yeah. And it's what Saquon did this year, and this goes to the fact of what's more important when you're playing. Saquon's had this rushing record. He would have gotten it probably.
For sure.
Sat it out because as a player on a team at that time, it's more important to go win your team a championship.
I want to ask you a little bit about some of this coaching carousel that we have going right now. I first want to start with the Cowboys because Jerry Jones. I mean, he had us all fooled for a little bit there, and then kind of changed course, and then it seemed like he had backed himself into a corner, only for him to be let out that corner when. What's the head coach that decided not to
McCarthy?
When McCarthy was asking for 5, he only wanted to give 3, and now he gets Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
Now, ironically, we were talking about his father earlier, Marty. I've made the point on here for multiple weeks now that this seems like the perfect hire for Jerry Jones.
For Jerry Jones. And now I have to
not for Cowboys.
I have to preface this by saying that I was on teams with Brian Schottenheimer. He's a great guy. Players loved him. Players enjoyed him. But it is a perfect hire for Jerry Jones. Now, I contrast that to what the Chargers did last year. They went out and made a splash. The Chargers have had a history of not winning, and then they needed to turn things around. So who do they go get? The biggest name who has known to turn things around in Coach Harbaugh.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys have not won in a long time. They need to make a big splash. They need to find somebody that is known for turning things around. And then they kind of went with the same path they've always gone, which is a guy that's respected, but not someone that's going to overpower Jerry Jones.
Right.
Because we know at the end of the day, Jerry Jones is running that machine.
Has the sentiment been the same on the player side when you were around at that time? Has that always kind of been the viewpoint of the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah. So look, you don't go to the Cowboys to go win a championship. You go to the Cowboys because it's a huge market. Cowboy fans are everywhere. You're going to have opportunities. You can get paid because they have countless opportunities from there. So you go because of this aura that is the Cowboys, America's team, as they call themselves. You go to the Patriots back in the day because you wanted to win a Super Bowl. You go to the Chiefs now because you want to win a Super Bowl. You go to the Cowboys because you want to be in the limelight. You want to play in Jerry's world. You want to be part of that hype machine. You're not picking them because they're going to win a Super Bowl because they haven't in a long time.
They don't look like they're setting themselves up to win one anytime soon because the NFC is going to get tougher. It's not going to get easier, it seems like. The Saints. A lot of talk about that being an organization that no one wanted to touch. I mean, it looks like Kellen Moore is the front runner, but that even seemingly is taking way longer than it seemingly should.
Well, I wonder he's the OC for the Eagles, right?
He is the OC for the Eagles.
So maybe that's why.
But still, there's been times where these jobs are already given.
All right, so if you're going to be a head coach, you want, especially a first one, you want to be in a good situation, right? And you go look at New Orleans and their quarterback. You got to establish quarterback first before you establish anything else. Is Derek Carr your guy? Yeah, that is not proven to be a winner. Spencer Rattler? That's not the answer. So if I'm the head coach, do I want to dive in and start my legacy at a place that's not necessarily set up for success, or maybe wait for something? Because you're.
I do commend a lot of these new coaches. They are not afraid to wait it out. I mean, Ben Johnson had two cycles before he decided, all right, I'm ready to move on. And we're starting to see that from these younger coaches, at least that have the leverage to kind of do that. Because everybody doesn't have that.
No, they don't all. But I'll tell you what, one of the greatest jobs in the world is a fired head coach from the NFL. You get a 3-year contract, you get fired after 1. You're getting every penny of those next 2 years.
And you're probably going to be a coordinator somewhere.
Yeah, without doing that head coach job. So is it the worst thing ever to sign a large contract and get fired? No, I mean, it's got to take a shot to the ego. But at the end of the day, you're still cashing those checks.
All right, let's slide away. Let's get to break. When we come back, talk a little Super Bowl. It's getting about, as I said, 9 days away. Eagles, Chiefs. We haven't really talked about it that much this week. We'll kind of dive into it this next segment.
It's already fixed. So that's why we're not
wow.
talking
Here we
about
go.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to deal with this on a daily basis. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
Gwynn and Chris back here, 97.3 The Fan, Matt Scraby, Tony Gwynn Jr., and our guy, Greg Camarillo, former NFL wide receiver, here with us in studio. Now, I was asked this question on the chat earlier. How does Greg know Scraby so well? And the answer is, we did a podcast for a while. We did like 100 episodes of a podcast called Two Pros and a Joe. And it was really fun.
We are COVID besties.
We
I saw
are
your
COVID besties.
face more during lockdown time than anyone that was outside of my immediate household.
It was me too. It was Greg Camarillo, myself, and Marcus McNeil, and that was a really good time. So that's why Greg is.
There you go.
He just fits right in, making fun of me and teasing me and all that
doing
stuff.
it for years.
He's about to say he was doing it on his own. He didn't need us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We are going to talk about the Super Bowl here in just a second, but big news of the day is Michael King has agreed to a contract with the Padres, so they're going to skip arbitration. It guarantees him $7.75 million, contains a $3 million signing bonus, a $1 million base salary, and for 2026, a $15 million option, or a $3.75 million buyout. Now, him coming back to the team was never in question. This just helps them avoid arbitration, which AJ Preller has never gone to. So, Michael King, loving it. Also doesn't mean that they're not going to trade him, but I don't think they are. I'm putting that out in the universe.
I feel like it's a good stat for AJ Preller to say, I've never had to go to arbitration. Like that's a character statement.
At this point, it seems intentional. I mean, he's been a GM for
10 years.
10 years.
Plus.
They go to arbitration every year.
They find a way.
It seems like it's intentional.
Well, can you imagine
that's something I might ask him. Like, is there some type of thought behind? I mean, because every team goes. Most of these teams all going to arbitration, and it ain't like you can't survive going.
I'd love to know that.
I would too. Well, I'll find out. I've got a couple more weeks before I head out there.
All right.
So if you know that as a player, Tony, and you're going into contract negotiations, knowing the GM has never gone to arbitration, do you shoot for the stars and make your number bigger?
It's a good question. I think you would look at where teams where they're settling at, right? Because if you're not going to arbitration, you're coming to some type of agreement.
Yeah.
And I think those numbers are available for agents and so on to be able to find out what the number was in that particular where they settle. And so you can a good agent will gauge what's appropriate, what's being a pain, and you know what.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would think you feel pretty good about not having to worry about going to arbitration when you see those kind of numbers there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, Greg, going into because some players have really hard times with arbitration because the teams will pit your bad qualities against you.
Yep.
And can you imagine?
We saw that with Josh Hader.
Yeah.
We saw that with Corbin Burns. They both came out quite salty.
Yeah.
Josh so much so that he's like, all right, you going to say that I'm not a closer? I'm only pitching in the ninth until I get my bag. Once I get it, then I'll be back to pitching whenever you need to.
That's exactly what they did to him. I mean, they said, hey, we need you to help out 6th inning, 7th inning, but hey, we're going to take care of you down the road. And then when there's time to take care of him.
Now, we don't know if they said that.
Well, okay.
You added extra stuff.
Okay. Well, at the end, when they basically told him, hey, well, you didn't close as many games as we would like you to close.
Yeah,
and he's like, wait, no.
It says here that you only closed out this many games. You pitched in the 7th, 8th. It looked like a closer to me.
Could you imagine doing this like in a relationship? No. So you're going to your wedding vows and you're saying, you know what, I vow my love to you, but you're really grumpy in the morning. It's like, I don't know about that.
We're gonna have to change that.
You cook well, but man, your breath. Oh.
That would be terrible.
Now, I did tease Super Bowl stuff.
I was waiting for traffic. That's why I was killing some time. And we have our traffic, so we'll talk Super Bowl on the other side.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danek.
Getting a little busy this afternoon, guys. Got a collision on the transition ramp, eastbound King Freeway to the South 805 connector ramp. Also, southbound side of the 805 near Camino de la Plaza. Crash involving a couple vehicles. That's over the right shoulder. Still clearing an accident at Balboa Park, South 163 before Quince Street. That's over to the right shoulder. Now getting reports of a crash on southbound 125 Hamashaw off-ramp. In the North County, collision eastbound 78 just before Twin Oaks Valley Road. Clearing that over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danek with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
technical difficulties on this camera. Scraby is running laps in this room right now.
Chris doesn't even have this problem.
People can't see me? Is that
no, they see this.
I'm just stuck?
You're frozen.
Oh, that's great.
I'm
That's
going to
awesome.
come back over there. You talk.
That is so fun. So let's talk some Super Bowl, Greg. It's your last segment, so we better talk some football here. So what are your thoughts? I mean, Eagles come into this game pretty obviously they want to run the ball. Yep. It could be we got Greg's mic off too, I think.
Oh, on. How about that?
There we go. Boom. They want to run the ball. Chiefs want to do a little bit of everything. That seems to be their formula. How do you see this? Do you think the Eagles, I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but they're going to run this ball and see what happens early.
So I look at the first 8 minutes or so of their last game against the Commanders as that is what they want to do. So what they did is the Commanders got the ball first. They went on an 18-play drive, which is unheard of, converted 2 fourth downs, but walked away with 3 points. First of all, 18-play drive. I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
miserable. Nobody wants to be out there for 18 plays. So to go through that and come out with 3 points, that's not good. That's a shot to the soul. Like, we're feeling good. Oh, it's 3 points. So the Eagles, that's what they want to do on defense. Bend, don't break. Sure, you can have these 5 yards, 7 yards, 3 yards. No problem. And then when they got the ball, first play, Saquon to the house. It was funny, like 70 yards.
It's funny you mentioned. I was listening to Darius Slay talk about it. He was like, I was so jazzed that he just went one play 60 yards, but we were just on the field for 18 plays. So I was like, tell myself, hey, save your energy. We got to get ready to go back out.
So, I mean, that's the blueprint. Clearly, you can't draw that up because it's too perfect to draw up especially against the Chiefs. But that same mindset against Patrick Mahomes is bend, don't break. Don't give up that big play, especially to a guy like Worthy, the fastest combine time ever. You got him on the field. Try to keep these shorter gains. Now, Patrick Mahomes can do it. No problem. He can go 18 plays and score a touchdown. But that gives you your best shot to not give up a big play. And then on the flip side, of course, you'd love a huge run to start it out, but give the ball to Saquon. Because if Saquon Barkley has the ball, Patrick Mahomes does not
you keep
have
him off the field.
Yeah. So, I mean, that
you almost don't want the 60-yard plays. You just keep this guy off the field.
It's like Madden 98. You just run around, the defense catches up to you, you got to hit a U-turn. Saquon, go ahead and kill some time while you got it. But that's the blueprint. I mean, clearly that's not easy to follow because you're playing against a team that just won the Super Bowl twice.
The one thing I feel like nobody's talking about, because I started to notice it the last game, Hollywood Brown being back for the Chiefs gives them a really good another wide receiver. I saw Juju in there. He's more of a third down guy. You got DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
They're not like, other than Worthy and maybe Brown, they're not like super explosive, but they're dependable. All 5 of the guys he's going to target, and that includes Kelsey and those 4 wide receivers. He feels pretty confident he could throw the ball in a radius, and it's going to go to his guys.
Yeah, and when you say DeAndre Hopkins after 3 or 4 other names,
right?
Like, this is a Pro Bowl caliber receiver for the last decade or so. When he's your last option, I mean, things are looking good.
They got a little bit of everything. They got the guy who can stretch it in Worthy. I think Brown is probably still in that category, can stretch it a little bit. And then you got like 2 really good possession guys on top of Travis Kelsey who can do a little bit of that too.
So a quick story. I covered UCLA's spring game last year when they had Eric Bieniemy, who was their offensive coordinator, who used to be the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I asked him, how does he use the NFL to prepare his college students? He said, well, I use film from the Chiefs to show them this is what it should look like. But I tell them, don't watch Travis Kelsey.
Right,
because he's not doing what he's supposed to do.
I saw
but
this.
because he has such good chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, they're on the same page. So he can just make things up. And he has the intelligence to do that, the chemistry to do that. And so he doesn't even need the athleticism anymore.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I've heard this said about Travis Kelsey a lot. How does that make the rest of everybody else and what they're doing in that particular play more difficult if he's just able to like do whatever he wants? Like, obviously he's smart enough to know he can't do something that's interfering with one of the other route trees that he has. So he's basically ever working to that confine because he also knows what everybody else is doing.
And that's the benefit of being in an offense that runs the same thing for several years because you get fully aware of what everything else is going on. So he knows, I can break this off because there's open space. But on certain plays, like I got to keep going because somebody's coming behind me.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just a veteran player that knows,
That's amazing,
like, I can freestyle it on this play, but these other plays, I got to keep it tight.
That's kind of nuts to me.
It's next level.
I don't think, unless you played the game or pay attention to like that, as they were talking about him just like making up routes, it was like mind blowing to me because I do know that there's a discipline to like all of these different things that are happening, and the fact that he could just kind of this route, I'm just going to break it off to the left here. And the Mahomes actually know that he's doing it.
Yeah, they're on the same page. And it's slightly related to the last game against the Bills. So there was one play where, the routes break down. Josh Allen is pointing. He scrambles, and he throws the ball almost into an interception. And Tony Romo is just blasting him like, you got to be smarter with the ball.
Right.
And then they run a replay back. And Josh Allen is pointing out a defensive holding to the refs.
Yeah, I remember this.
And then he knows, all right, I pointed out the penalty, so I can just risk it.
Yeah.
And Tony Romo was like, my bad, Josh. Like, but that is that next level football of being a great player. To be able to see a penalty, point out the penalty, but still have everything going on. Like, if I had to do that, like, I got to stop.
How fast everything is going to while you're having to process it.
And that's what makes
quickly.
these guys so great. And you watch Patrick Mahomes, any fourth quarter comeback, like he looks like he just popped up off the couch eating popcorn. Like, all right, I guess let's go handle business. He never looks stressed. He never looks tired. And
I've seen him look stressed one time, and that was the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers where he didn't have an offensive line, that was the only time I've ever seen him like look like he was happy feet.
Yeah.
Only time. It's the only time I've ever seen him like that.
I mean, Jimmy G looks like that all the time.
Every play?
Never looks like that.
Which
Never.
you would. I mean, you've got a group of 300-pound men coming to destroy you. Like, you should look like that.
You're a wide receiver, former wide receiver. You're a diva.
Thank you.
Not as much
Thank
of
you.
a
I'm
diva. Yes, I know. Greg loves it when you call wide receivers divas.
We are.
A.J. Brown can be considered a diva. What do you think about what's been going on with him? Because he's kind of called out his quarterback this year, and Jalen Hurts,
he's just reading a book, dog. You
Okay.
over here making up stuff.
That's not true.
He did not call him out.
No, not recently, but earlier in the year, he was saying he wasn't getting the ball enough. All this stuff.
He wasn't getting the ball enough.
Okay.
I mean, you got to feed the guy. I mean, how great is it to be the author of Inner Excellence, and now suddenly you're a best-selling author? But what tells me everything is generally fine and they understand each other is we went to the post-game press conference with Jalen Hurts, and they said, A.J. Brown was on the sideline reading a book. And he was like, oh, that's just what he does to get in the zone. Like, anybody else, you might have been like, oh, like, he's not locked in.
Right.
What is this guy doing? But he's like, not a problem.
I heard one of the analysts say this. I never heard it before. Whereas most offenses want to be, I think it's consistent in the run game, explosive in the pass game. They said the Eagles are the opposite. They want to be explosive in the run game, consistent in the pass game, efficient in the pass game is what it was. Jalen Hurts kind of answered a lot of the questions last week.
Yeah,
is he the wild card for the Eagles?
No, I have enough confidence in his consistency to be fine. And we talked about this last week on this show. The play that showed us that there was, I think it was a fourth down, maybe a third down. The Commanders bring everybody up and show a blitz, and they press up the receivers. So you know exactly what Jalen Hurts recognizes it, knows exactly what he needs to do, and he goes to A.J. Brown on a fade. A.J. runs a decent route, and Jalen Hurts just drops it right in the bucket.
Yep.
So he knows he has somebody unblocked that's going to come hit him. He knows exactly where he needs to throw the ball, and he delivered a beautiful pass to A.J. Brown. And to me, that shows their relationship. So A.J. Brown, if you're not getting the ball early, there's going to be a point where we need you, and that's that
I'm
play.
gonna get it to you.
And Jalen Hurts needs to deliver on that play, and that's exactly what they did. Now, was that the last drive of a Super Bowl with all the pressure on? No,
not at all.
But I think they can do that when the time comes.
In your career as a wide receiver, how often did you notice like the difference between a good D coordinator and just like a regular one? Is it noticeable when you're out there?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, as a receiver, you're not.
Because we're listening to the analysts talk about Spags for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it. I mean, you listen to everybody talk about it. It's a difference maker.
It is a difference maker. In the very last play that the Bills had the ball, when they brought a corner blitz. And
yes,
Noah
he had that disguise so well. Let me. Okay, glad you brought it up.
Yes,
the corner.
Yes,
in those situations, how much are they on a cornerback to? Hey, man, you have to make sure you disguise this. He can't know your. Is that a thing or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because if a receiver sees that, like if you're pressed up against me, we are literally eye to eye. Like I can see you breathing. I can hate you from 3 feet away, right in your face. But if I start seeing your eyes like looking in, looking down, looking in, like I know something's up, or you start like twitching in, I know something's up. I can point, I can give an alert, I can do something. But it has to look like every single play. Now, the advantage was it was a short split, so he was even closer to it.
Explain that, the split, short split.
If a wide receiver is spread out far, outside the numbers, you have splits. So you can go top of the numbers, bottom of the numbers, +2, +4, which means +4 yards outside of the numbers. It's too far of a distance for a corner blitz. There's no point. Because by the time you get there, the ball's gone or somebody sees you. So it was a short split, which I'm assuming meant they kept the corner blitz on because they probably wouldn't do it if he was out wide. The wildest thing about the play, Josh Allen found the right guy. He ran for his life. He found the open man. And now it was a bad throw, and it would have been a great catch, a catch that needs to be made. But we're telling a different story if that catch is made. It's not Spags with the great call. It's Josh Allen magically figured it out and found the right guy. And that's why we love football. The tiniest little difference between a catch and not catch, a sack versus a throw can change the entire season. And that's why Josh Allen is sitting at home and we're praising a defensive coordinator in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, Scrappy, don't look so sad.
I just hate the Chiefs so much. I just hate them.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Scraves.
Why do you guys hate greatness? I
mean,
that's
it's easy to hate.
It is. I was a Michael Jordan hater for a long time, but eventually, I had to come to Jesus. You know, I was like, hey,
I've told you before. I appreciate what Patrick Mahomes does on the field. I think he's great.
You think he's a cheater?
Well, he flops all the time. I mean, he does.
Tom
stuff.
Brady is literally a cheater. Like we know that about him, and he's the greatest quarterback ever.
Speaking of Tom Brady,
yes,
Tony and I like Tom Brady on the call. What do you think?
I enjoy Tom Brady on the
Thank you.
call. Yeah.
Chris is a big fan.
I am impressed. Now, I can hate and respect at the same time. I am impressed that he's made such a smooth transition. That's not easy. Like, we've seen people struggle with that. That's not an easy thing to do, and he's doing a good job.
He seems like he cares about being good at it. Like, he doesn't seem like he's in there just kind of talking. He got better from week one to where we are, whatever his first week was till now. And you could see the improvement.
We actually have a Big Five question about this because he points out what he noticed about week one versus his last week that he did it, because I think they're calling the Super Bowl. I'm not 100%
sure. I believe so.
But he was like, if playing was like slow to me, that going up in the booth was so incredibly fast. It was like lightning.
Oh, interesting.
Not being able to use my words correctly, like not knowing how much time I have.
I know from someone who worked with him that his first one, he had like a boatload of like information like dialed in and ready and didn't use any of it because it was going so fast that he didn't have time to squeeze any of the stuff in. But
I love hearing about guys who are great at everything like struggle with something.
Yeah, well, he's great because he figured it. He figured it out. He no longer sounds like he's struggling.
Prediction, Greg.
Oh man, the spread is 1.5. The Chiefs are going to win and cover.
You know what it is.
It's going to be a Patrick Mahomes last-minute drive. Chiefs by 7.
3-peat.
How impressive is a 3-peat?
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Does that put them above the Patriots?
No.
Patriots
5 out of the last
so
6, they have been to the Super Bowl. Patriots never even did that.
The most amazing is ever since Alex Smith was traded, Patrick Mahomes has started every AFC championship game for 7 straight years.
That's insane.
That's like some LeBron stuff right there.
Absolutely.
That's
Greg,
insane.
appreciate you coming to hang with us, man.
Been a pleasure, fellas. I've enjoyed it.
Next time, I'll see if I can squeeze the last 2 hours out of you.
You got it.
Greg Camarillo, appreciate you. We'll be back 4 o'clock hour on the way.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Scraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. 4th hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Scraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. 4th hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Scraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. 4th hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
Yes, indeed we are. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Scraby for the rest of the ride. Shout out to Greg Camarillo, man. My guy came in 2 hours, light work for him. Did a great job. Had some good conversations. Cracked on Scraby. So it was just like me and Chris being here for a little bit.
Yep. He's a really good dude.
He is.
And he does a lot of good for student athletes.
He's got a new nonprofit.
Yep.
The Athlete Academy, where they offer all types of academic assistance to high school athletes. Check it out.
Greg's like at San Diego State, one of his jobs is to work with the athletes to kind of figure out a plan for after sports, because, you know, that's scary. Tony,
Yes,
you
it
already
is.
had your plan pretty much. Like,
I got the real life education, like watching my father's teammates
yes.
and seeing how, you know, they would, you know, be in a uniform 1 minute, not in a uniform the next, and just not wanting to fall into the trap of thinking baseball is just going to be there forever.
That's good. That's good, because
Yeah.
I could see some people not thinking that. It was extremely hard for me to figure out what I wanted to do with my life.
It's a real thing, right? I mean, it gets on you quick. Like,
Yes,
you
it
know, you
does.
go high school and your parents tell you the whole time, you better enjoy this because it's going to go by fast.
Oh, Mom, Dad,
I must
be quiet.
My dad must have said that to me a billion times. And sure enough, all of a sudden I look up and it was like, oh, man.
It's over. What happened to the last 4 years of my life? And then once you get out of high school, it just continues to get faster.
It just goes faster. It just goes faster. So, yeah. So shout out to Greg Camarillo. One thing I wanted to share with everybody is, as of this morning, my oldest daughter, Michaela, decided that she was going to pursue her soccer career and further her education at Grand Canyon University.
Tony's an antelope.
Well, I'm not an antelope.
Well, you
my
kind of
daughter's an
are.
antelope.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm still an Aztec. My daughter's a lope.
Elope.
She very proud of her. She worked her tail off to get to this point. And as I told her in my post, that it's really just the beginning. She's just scratching the surface. But shout out to my daughter, Michaela. She's got another year. She's a junior. She's finishing up her junior season, but this is around the time where you start getting the 2026 class to commit. Most of them have already committed. So happy, very, very happy for her.
Behind the scenes, like, Chris and I have kind of had a little bit of a front seat to all this, and it is involved. Like,
Oh, yeah.
The whole college visits and getting recruited, it's very involved.
Yeah, she went on 2 in the last 4 weeks. And you got to try to maneuver it around her game schedule, or her school schedule, or game schedule. And it worked out. I mean, we ended up going to GCU on a Sunday. We came back on Monday. She missed that school day. But then this past weekend, she went to University of Portland, which was her other choice that she had on there. And it worked out because they didn't have school Monday. So she ended up not having to miss school. We were able to maneuver it, and it just worked out. It was a good experience. Highly stressful for a 16, 17-year-old, but
It's an important decision.
it is. And, you know, she was not led any one way by mom or dad, and she had to come to that decision on her own. So I'm very proud of her. She posted it all on her own, captioned it all on her own, so proud of her.
That is cool. That is cool.
1 down, 3 to go.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I had for you there.
Happy
All
to
right,
hear
we
it.
have some Gwynn versus the Fan, 833-288-0973. If you want to play and have a shot at beating me. Let's
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the Fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, before we get into the rules, Podzilla says, congrats, Tone. Excellent work. It's not easy. Our family is in the same process now.
Yes. Thank you, Podzilla. Appreciate it. Good luck to you and your family. It's not an easy process, for sure. The rule-changing things kind of really made it cattywampus, as Chris would say,
Rule, just everything that's going on in college athletics?
Right. So the scholarship thing where they, some of these schools have a bigger roster than the 28 that is being required.
Gotcha.
So then those kids lose a spot, and it got messy there for a little bit, but it worked out for my daughter.
Shocking. It's shocking. I know I never received a letter from any colleges to have me play football. Which
I'm sorry to hear that. It's great.
They would come out of the coach's office and they would be walking around and they would give the letters to like whoever it was, usually Kevin O'Connell.
You never wanted one of those guys. I never was one of them.
Every time he walked out, though, I was like, maybe no.
Oh, wait, he's coming my direction. Oh,
wait, you don't play, so how would you get a letter? All right, the rules. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get the question wrong and Tony gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Tony gets the question wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before you get into it, and you'll get that first question for free. And you will also be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a trip to Las Vegas to see Scorpions on August 14th, plus a 2-night stay at Planet Hollywood and a $100 gas card. Tony, believe it or not, people have asked for me to do this. Scorpions!
No, nobody's
Yes,
asked
they
you
did.
to.
Return with their 60 years of the Scorpions.
Ridiculous.
Las Vegas residency show live August 14th through the 23rd at PH Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Let's go to our first contestant for today. We're going to go to, let's see, Michael in Lemon Grove. It's been a while, Michael.
What's up, Michael?
How's it going, guys? Yeah, been a long time. Not normally off work this time anymore.
Okay, well, I'm glad you are now. We'll get started. Veteran player, he knows the rules. Who is the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles?
All I can picture is Andy Reid in green, but he's in red now. Jesus. I gave up on the NFL when the Chargers left.
I do remember that now.
Andy Reid.
Okay, I don't know what he said, but I don't think it was the right answer.
I believe it's Nick Sirianni.
It is Nick Sirianni. Sorry, Michael. Call back again. I'm sorry. I always feel bad when that happens. But it's okay. It's what the game is all about.
It happens.
Let's go to Keenan. Hello, Keenan. Keenan going once. Keenan's not there. Let's go to Mark. Hello, Mark. What is happening with the phones now?
Uh-oh.
Are the phones not working now?
I don't know. You got the board there.
All right, let's go to
try it again.
Let's go to Matt in Point Loma.
Matt in Point Loma.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there he is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, here we go, Matt. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What city is the Pro Bowl being held this year?
Oh, man. I don't know if they moved it back or not. Honolulu.
Honolulu. Unfortunately, that is incorrect. They don't have a stadium anymore for that reason.
I believe it is Orlando, Florida.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Sorry, Matt.
You're doing your best attempt at a Chris Ello right now.
You know, I got to represent in this chair if I'm going to play the game that he is the master at.
That's true. Let's go to Gilberto.
Gilberto is back.
Hello, Gilberto.
Hola, muchachos, ¿cómo están?
Bien,
muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Hey, Tony.
Yes,
muy
sir.
bien, Tony. Felicidades a ti y a tu esposa porque tu hija se va a la universidad.
I think he said congratulations to your wife and daughter for committing to a college. Is that right?
To him and his wife, yes.
Oh, not the
That
daughter.
is awesome.
Congratulations, Tony.
Humberto, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Gilberto's always a nice guy, except for when he tweets me about the Dodgers late at night.
That's his squad. Get off his back.
I know. You're feeling
Listen,
good.
I'm not gonna talk about the Dodgers because 24 is gone. This is a new season, and to all the daughters of the Padres, I have a feeling that they will make the playoffs because they do have a really good team. Okay.
See, Gilberto's always positive.
Leave it to the Dodgers fan to be more optimistic. How about that?
Well, it's easy too when you have your team.
No kidding.
All right, here we go. Question number 1, Gilberto. Who is the Ohio State head football coach?
He just won the national championship. Man, I don't get his name. You gotta be kidding me.
I thought this was a lock for you.
I was struggling until I just thought of
it. I forgot his name.
Oh no, Gilberto.
I believe it is Just for Men Jet Black, Ryan Day.
Sorry, Gilberto.
Does it just me or does it look like
Thank
he has
you. We'll talk to you soon.
black dye? His hair is extremely black.
There's a lot of strange things about his appearance, I gotta say. The Weasel?
The Weasel.
Remember when all the fans wanted to fire him before the
I
playoffs
do.
started?
Funny how he got the last laugh in there.
Yeah, right? All right, let's go to Steven. Hello, Steven.
Hello.
Hi, Steven. How are you? First time player.
Nice job. I like that you said it right up front.
This
Here we
is
go.
perfect, too, because he starts a little running short on time here.
Question number 2. I'm well aware. Nate, let's see. Who stole the most bases in baseball last year?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine to say. I will look at Tony.
Was it Ellie De La Cruz?
I'm sorry about that, Steven. All right, he's just ripping through everyone. Okay.
Tiebreaker?
No, well, you know what? It's Friday. We're gonna break a rule today.
All right.
We're gonna break a rule today. So
Noted
hopefully
that
Adam is not. This is
Matt
me.
Scraby wants to break the rule here. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
you like my excuse? It doesn't hold up in court. It's Friday.
You said it, not me.
All right, I haven't been able to screen you, but your name is Michelle on the phone. Hello?
Hello, it's actually David.
David.
Hi,
okay,
David.
I'm
How
gonna
are
put
you?
David in there right now. How are you, David?
I'm doing good. I didn't think you guys would pick me because I got a Zony area code.
Oh, I didn't even know, but now I'm going to have to drop you.
Oh,
No, I'm
good,
just kidding. All right, here we go. Are you ready to play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, first question. What team did the Eagles beat for their last Super Bowl victory?
I believe it was was it the Patriots?
You are
I
correct.
just thought of it right before he said it.
You know, I was watching highlights of that game last night. Completely forgot that Tom Brady went out for a pass, and he looked so awkward doing
He
it.
did. He did
It's
look
so
bad.
awkward doing it. All right.
They both went out for passes, didn't they?
Oh, Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
Did he catch a touchdown?
I feel like
Well, it's
he
the
did.
Philly special. I know that. It
feel
was
like
either a
he did.
2-point conversion or a touchdown, but Tom did not catch his. It was out of reach for Tom. All right, David, let's go to question number 2. Where did Texas or former Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers play college football before Texas?
That I don't know. Shot in the dark. So North Carolina.
Go on and raise. We can't do it for a second time. I listened to P. Pablo on the way home that night, by the way. Okay, stay right there, David.
I'm not sure, but I think it was Ohio State.
You are correct. I'm sorry, David. All right, now we're going tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
Let's AJ Brown. He's in the Super Bowl. Why not?
Let me get my calculator out. Go ahead.
Get your calculator. All right, next contestant, Paul. Hello.
Hello, Paul.
What's up, guys?
Not too much. Are you ready for the tiebreaker round? Do you know how it works?
I'm ready.
All right, so I'm going to ask Tony for a number, and he's going to give me one. Paul's going to say whether or not the actual number is higher or lower than what Tony says. All right, Tony. A.J. Brown, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. How many receptions does he have in his career?
How many years?
6.
6 years, I'll say. Let's go with 450.
450. Paul, actual answer, higher or lower than 450?
Ooh, I'm going to go higher.
You're going to go higher. Incorrect. I'm sorry, Paul. Tony, 446. You were 4 off.
I said he was 75 catches a year for 6 years. Boom.
That is incredible, I have to say. All right, next contestant so we can get through this. Alberto? Sorry,
Yes.
Okay.
Alberto, how are you, my friend?
Good. How you guys doing today?
We
Pretty
are well.
good. Pretty good. All right, here we go, Tony. How many receiving touchdowns does he have in his career?
6 years. Let's say he get about 8 of those bad boys. Go 48.
48 touchdowns. All right, Alberto, is it higher or lower?
I think that's lower.
Lower. Do you have this page open right now?
I'm just.
What did you say? 48?
48.
He has 49. This is ridiculous.
I said about 8 touchdowns per year for 6 years.
This is ridiculous. All right, this is the last one. If we don't get a winner here, then we are moving on because we have tried today. Scott, hello. Whoop, you're down. Sorry. Scott.
Yes, I'm here.
All
What's
right.
up, Scott? How are you?
Turn off that radio for me, and I'm going to come right back. Okay, thank you. I'll come right back to you. Tony, what is the longest catch of his career?
Oh, I'm going to say 99.
99
No,
yards.
no, that's not enough space. 95.
95. All right. Scott, is the actual answer higher or lower?
It is lower.
It is lower, and it is lower. Nice job. Tony's kind of sad. Hang on, Scott. I'm going to come get you in the break.
How many was his longest?
91. 91. So you were kind of close. But
He was
you did a
close.
really good job. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
That was pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself right
Nothing
there.
to be ashamed of.
I feel like Crisello right now.
Feels dirty, huh?
Let's get to break. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side. Here's some traffic.
From the
Center, Odyssey Palace. Matt Scraby, Tony Gwynn Jr. Thank you to Greg Camarillo for being with us earlier for the first 2 hours. If you want to listen to that, you can go back on YouTube or you can go to 97.3 The Fan SD. Chris Ello, traveling to Albuquerque right now. He will be back with us on Monday. But tomorrow, big day for FanFest, Tony. And you're going to be there all day. You're going to be there.
Thanks for reminding me. Yes,
most
I will
of
be
the
there.
day, and you're going to be there with me from 2 to 3, and then I'm going to be there from 2 to 4, but just by myself on the radio from 3 to 4, and then Ben Woods 10 to noon, Annie and Elston noon to 2. Now, I do know that there are separate waves of tickets. So make sure you know if you're a morning ticket person or if you're an afternoon ticket person.
Oh, is that how it's going down?
I've been asked by a couple people about this, and they aren't sure. But the gates are actually going to open at 10 a.m. for guests with tickets to the first session, and then guests with tickets to the second session can come in as early as 1 p.m., and then they can stay through the 4 p.m. So make sure you know that. Fans can enter at the home plate gate, the Gaslamp gate, the East Village gate, or Balboa gate. And everybody's encouraged to arrive early. I remember 2 years ago with the FanFest, Tony, I tried to drive downtown because I had to do some radio.
That was a mistake.
It was a mistake. And I ended up turning around downtown because I was starting to panic that I wasn't going to make it to the radio booth on time. Turned around, went to a trolley station, got on the trolley. So if you are coming down, make sure that you have a little bit of extra time. But here are some rules. Guests are not permitted to bring outside food and beverage, including factory sealed and reusable water bottles. And Petco Park prohibits bags with the exception for single compartment clear plastic bags. So I'm just trying to get people ready because I've had a lot of questions about FanFest, and I wanted to help everyone out there.
You are into helping people, so it makes sense.
It does make sense.
That's it should be fun though. What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? It's not going to be super hot like it was a couple years back.
No, I do remember that too. No, I think it's going to be like 68, whatever it is when San Diego in February, 68 degrees probably. Yeah. I would think. I'm looking now. Let's see. Tomorrow, 65 degrees, no rain. So
that's
we're good
all.
to go.
That's the only part that really matters. No rain. All right, let's get to break. On the other side, Scraby has a big five?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to go. Zion Williamson said something that is so shocking to me that I had to put it into the big five.
I just read this.
Shocking, right? He's rereading it just to make sure he's reading what he's reading.
It's not shocking. I mean, it's shocking that he said it out loud.
Yes, that's what I mean.
For sure.
It made my jaw drop.
I did have to go back and read it again to make sure I was reading it right.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that and some other things on the Big Five when we return. More Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Get ready to take on the Lobos tomorrow. Got a good Big Five. A juicy Big Five.
Yes.
Also in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll cover my partner, Jesse Agler's newsletter. He released his first one, I believe, of this year. May not be the first one, actually.
I think it is.
I think there's a couple before
There's been very few, but his newsletter is stacked with gold.
Yeah, especially on a day like this.
And it's funny because, yes, and it's funny because when you read the newsletter, if you listen to a lot of Jesse on the radio,
you can hear his voice.
Totally hear it because he writes like he talks.
You can 1,000% hear him as you're reading his material.
And at some point this year, Tony, you are going to hear that last line of his newsletter about the...
I will. I'm going to say we're going to hear it in the first couple of weeks of spring training game.
Okay,
it's going to be that soon.
Perfect. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Did you read the 3:30? Did we get that?
Download the Odyssey app and listen to 97.3 The Fan on the app for your chance at the ultimate trip in the Slam Dunk in Vegas contest. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to this station for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into this national contest. The grand prize is travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Las Vegas, plus $20,000 to fund the ultimate viewing experience for the first 2 rounds of the College Basketball Championship Tournament.
Is traffic ready? That's the next question.
It is not.
It's not ready.
Well, we can go into it and then we'll go back to traffic.
So you want to get into the Big Five?
Yeah,
we'll step out to get some traffic and then come back in?
Yeah, I need to, you got.
I
need to talk to the traffic people.
You got it. All right, let's. Without further ado, let's check Scraby's Big Five.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Also, remember to listen at 5:30 or Between 5:30 and 5:35 for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a future Padres game. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan in order to potentially have your name called. Now,
number 5.
We go into it. Michael King, as we know, has agreed to terms with the Padres, and they have been able to bypass arbitration once again, which is a good thing. So my question now, Tony, where does Michael King slot into the rotation? Here are your choices. We're going to have to limit it to these guys right now. Yu Darvish, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Matt Waldron, Randy Vasquez.
Wait, you just gave me names.
Yeah, I'm giving you 5 names because we can't predict who the Padres are going to sign or anything like that.
Right, and say, how does that rotation slot?
Where does Michael King go in that?
I mean, it's 1 or 2. I think his year has put him in the conversation to be the lead dog coming out of spring training. But I'm sure Dylan Cease is going to have something to say about that. So, listen, competition is always a good thing.
Is Yu Darvish up for the number 1?
I think he's always up. He's your quintessential ace. But I think, age, father time, may lend itself to being one of the other 2 guys we mentioned.
Yeah, I hope. I haven't really heard much about Yu Darvish in the offseason, but I'm hoping things get back to normal for you here in this year. But you're right. I think Dylan Cease, out of those guys, we've talked about so many times before, Dylan Cease has got to be the 3rd. I wouldn't mind seeing Michael King start on opening day. Even though some guys say it's a really big deal, some guys say it's not a big deal. I feel like Michael King would like to do that.
It's a big deal to start the season, and then it's not a big deal because those get shuffled like all the time. Somebody will miss a start, they'll skip a start, their off day will happen, so somebody will get skipped. I mean, all those different type of things happen so that it's not the same as it is it's not the same all year.
Yeah.
Number 4.
The Zion Williamson topic. Reporters recently asked Zion Williamson about his availability when playing back-to-back nights for the New Orleans Pelicans, and he said, quote, "Let me make this clear to everybody out there. If I could play in the back-to-backs, I would. Physically, yes, I can, but I work for the Pelicans. They have decided..."
That was the best line in there.
"I work for the Pelicans. They have decided that based off the numbers, it's not smart to do that right now. It's that if that's what they feel, I'm rocking with them on that," end quote. Now, the fans think that he's throwing the team under the bus. And the question for me is, do you think he is throwing the team under the bus? Yes, he's throwing the team under the bus, but I am not blaming the team whatsoever for trying to be careful with a guy who cannot stay healthy. Like, it's crazy to me that he thinks, oh, I should just play back-to-back. It's like, dude, you have soft tissue injuries all the time and you miss 35 games.
You and your fan group that the rest of you Zion Williamson haters.
No.
That's what I'm talking about. That fan.
We're
base.
Zaters.
The Zaters. That was pretty quick right there. The Zaters out there will be all over him the moment that he has to sit down on the second end of a back-to-back. Oh, this guy's hurt again. Oh, he can't play now.
Of course, that's why he's saying it.
Well, listen. This is what he gave you. The organization is like, nah. Which we already knew. Organizations are the one that make the decision anyway on back-to-back. It ain't the players. Unless you're hurt.
I don't think that he should be mad at the team for this at all.
Did he? I didn't read it.
No, he's not. He's not.
I didn't see anywhere that he's mad in there. Where does that part come in?
I if there is frustration with the team for not playing back-to-backs,
my guess is that he said this because
he was asked.
Was he asked?
Yes, this was from a reporter's account.
What did the reporter ask him? What was?
They were asking about availability for back-to-backs and whether or not he's feeling good enough to play those.
So listen, he put it in the team's hands. Listen, the team does not want me to play back-to-backs. I would love to play back-to-backs. Is he throwing his team under the bus? Yes, he is. But they would do the same thing in a hurry.
I work for the Pelicans.
After you finish reading it, it doesn't sound as crazy as it does if you just stopped there. Like if you just said, I would love to play it back-to-backs, but I work for the Pelicans. And just stopped it, that would be a crazier quote.
I don't know. I'm like, just never mind.
Just don't talk to the media. That's what you do. Don't talk to the media and go play.
Well, I was going to say that, but then I'm like, he has media availability that he's required to do.
Of course.
And they ask this question, and then the quote gets to me, and then I feel some type of way, even though he really probably didn't even want to say it anyway.
Probably didn't want to talk to him at all.
You're right. He wants to go eat a pizza or something.
Oh, listen to you. What a jerk.
No, that's not true. He's not. He's in great shape right now.
He wants to go eat a pizza.
Here's traffic.
Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury. Here's Kelly Danick.
Got a car fire northbound 805 just past the 15. It's over to the right shoulder. Also southbound 805 past Market Street. There is a collision blocking middle lanes. 5 or 6 vehicles involved in that. North on the 163 before the 15. Accident involving a couple vehicles. That is over to the right shoulder. And a stall has just been cleared out of middle lanes, north 15 before Auto Parkway. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Number 3.
All right. Now, this whole thing with Liam Cohen, the new Jaguars head coach, is getting stranger and stranger, and it feels like he's spurned his old team, the Buccaneers, because his departure from the team was messy because he went back saying, I would like to be your offensive coordinator. They offered him a deal. He said, wait, no, I'm leaving, I'm going to Jacksonville, and they left him kind of high and dry. But Tampa Bay has blocked multiple interview requests by Jacksonville revolving around some of his assistant coaches or Buccaneers assistant coaches, according to ESPN. Specifically, the Bucs blocked requests for offensive line coach Kevin Carberry and assistant offensive line coach Brian Picucci. That's a good one right there. For roles on Cohen's staff. Tony, is Liam Cohen going to be worth all this in the end?
I hope so.
It better be.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all of the riffraff that they had just to get to this point would lead you to believe that, yes, he is worth it. Now, will it turn out that way? I'm not so sure. Because the one constant with the Jaguars is Mr. Khan. And not much winning going on over there since he's had that team.
No. But he's acting like this guy's Bill Belichick.
There's a lot of... the way he does business seems a little chaotic. So I can't imagine that it's anything but chaotic through the rest of this organization. So I don't know.
Yeah, the answer I knew was going to be I don't know. I just wanted to say this guy is causing causing headaches for a lot of people, and he's a random dude. I don't get it. I don't get why this guy is getting so much special treatment.
Random dude.
He is. No one's ever heard of Liam Cohen until now.
I know he is giving off very awkward vibes.
Duval.
I think there should be a rule when a new coach takes over somewhere, or GM, you shouldn't be allowed to do whatever call or
That's a good point.
special thing that university or team does until you've been in it for a while.
So like Brian Kelly
That's the first one that comes to mind.
When he did the Southern accent, when he's not Southern, but he did a Southern accent.
It was just bad on all counts. And I didn't see my man's thing, but just looking at the screen with no sound also seemed very awkward.
His hair's kind of messed up a little bit.
He just seems so confused.
Well, that's not a good thing when you're firing people. I'm trying to find this Duval. Okay, here. Oh wait, that's a 30-minute thing. Okay, here it is. Here's him saying, because Duval is their county name, the Jacksonville County name, and so this is like their chant, and this is what he said at his opening press conference.
Jacksonville, the community. Duval.
Tony just put his hand in his face. It's so bad. It's so bad.
You know what it's like to see...
Duval.
You know what it's like to watch something with no sound, so I really didn't have a full picture.
Yes.
And then hearing the sound and now me being able to put it with the picture is just...
Much worse than you
much
thought?
worse. Much worse.
Yeah, very cringy. But hey, Nick Sirianni had one of the most cringy opening press conferences ever.
He's turned out to be pretty good,
Turns out to be okay. We went through that press conference and we're like, this is not good for the Eagles. And he ended up being okay. Because he was so nervous he couldn't speak. He was saying the wrong things.
That's got to be top 10 worst, one of the worst press conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Introduction press conferences. I don't know if anybody takes down Adam Gase though.
Adam Gase was pretty strange.
His eyes alone were. that was an indicator of what it was going to be like as a head coach.
You know, someone told me once.
His eyes were all over the place.
You can't ever trust someone when you can see the whites of their eyes above their eyeballs, like their pupils.
That's good.
You can't trust someone like that.
That's real good.
All right.
Number 2.
I was listening to NFL people at Yahoo Sports earlier today, and they were talking about Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, and whether or not rules controversies will be a stain on his overall legacy. They were saying he could be doing more to take the human error out of officiating, like having a microchip football. One guy said, yes, this is going to affect him. The other two said it wasn't going to affect him. I'm up first. Do you think these things will be a stain on his legacy when it's all said and done? A stain on his legacy? No, it's not going to be that way.
This was today?
Yeah, they did it today or yesterday. I do think, though, in 40 years when we mention Goodell, and we're still doing this show, Tony, I'll be like, remember that?
40 years?
Yeah, I just saying a date. Hey, remember that time Goodell let the Chiefs win the Super Bowl 3 times in a row because he was fixing it? That's what I'll say, but it's not going to stain his legacy.
If I'm saying that at 82, and I remember that whole Super Bowl, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Well, I guess you would be 82, and I would be 79.
Yeah,
never mind.
I don't think anybody wants to listen to us at that point.
20 years from now. Tony, you remember Roger Goodell when he let the Chiefs win 3?
Man, that would be all bad. That's bad radio right there.
Does that mean Chris is...
I don't want to think about it.
Okay, I'll just move on.
Yeah, please.
Number 1.
Tom Brady was asked by Colin Cowherd to let us all in on what he found most difficult in his first season as analyst for Fox. Brady said, quote, if an NFL playbook is a Mount Everest of information, a single NFL broadcast is the entire Himalayan mountain chain. There isn't enough time, energy, or oxygen to cover it all. And that, for me, has been the other exciting part of the challenge, figuring out how to clearly communicate as much valuable information as possible in the short window between snaps. He also said that he felt like throughout the season, in the beginning of the season, he questioned his knowledge of the English language, Tony.
That's funny.
That is funny.
That's funny. I mean, I would expect that kind of candor from Tom Brady in terms of how it was for him early. And, I mean, we knew going in without knowing anything else about him that he was going to be well prepared.
Oh, yeah.
And he probably was over-prepared.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's alluding to. Like, there's so much information and not enough time to be able to squeeze all of it in that you know, a lot of times you feel like you don't have enough, but he's not.
You have enough.
You have enough. Exactly.
Okay, so the question, Tony, what do you think Tom Brady could do better?
I don't know. I thought his improvement over time was good. I think for him early it was rhythm, like finding the pockets to.
He did say that too.
To kind of bring his expertise out, and not forcing it because he knows so much, and that's probably the easy part for him. But finding when to get in, when to get out. I thought that improved significantly from the first game to where he's at now.
The only thing I can say is that he does do the like when some good play, which I kind of like because
I think that's how we are when we're watching.
I know,
the game.
And if Tom Brady's amazed by it, then I should be amazed by it.
I don't have a problem with that. It's the same thing that Tony Romo does. I mean, he has his own little.
I don't know, Jim. He does.
It's my favorite. I can't wait till they do an SNL on. I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, I don't know why people just trash the broadcasters. I
think that's kind of the culture. I mean, listen, we do it. We see it on baseball all the time. No matter what fan base you go to, they all hate Sunday Night Baseball because they all hate the fact that they talk about the other team that's being played.
It does seem like that, though. It does seem like that. I mean, it does seem like the national media hates San Diego Padres. Because Ken Rosenthal's writing articles about how everybody's starting fights, and
that was out of pocket. But in terms of the broadcast, the play-by-play, that's not happening.
That's not happening. No. Joe Davis, maybe? Calling the World Series, How can he not be excited for his team to win the World Series?
Of course he's excited for his team to win the World Series, but he's also excited when the other team does something.
All right. Gonzo wants to know if you have any haters.
Oh, I'm sure I got a lot of haters.
Oh, that guy who said you didn't know what you were talking about when you tried to say Hosmer was playing defense correctly, and he was like, "You don't even know ball."
Yeah. No, that was nice. That was nice. I remember that one time.
Yeah, that was really funny because they said you don't know ball.
I stay out the way most of the time, so I don't really give a lot of space for you to hate. I'm usually in, out, get out the way. I'm not in out of sight, out of mind.
Move. Get out the way. I'm not like that. I will. Depends on how the day is going. My dog walk went great today, so I've been in a great mood.
Right.
And I will not engage.
If your dog walk had gone bad, you're definitely engaging, and it takes you down the rabbit hole.
I can tell you right now, Tony, I've never been more nervous to walk my dogs around the neighborhood than the last couple days.
I bet.
Because I don't want them to get away, and I don't want them to run into that lady.
That is shaming at its finest right there. It's got you got the cords wrapped around your hand now. They're not getting off that leash.
Oh no. I totally had a conversation with them yesterday. I said, you guys can't be trusted, and I cannot let you off the leash until you can be trusted. And Lucky was like, okay, Dad.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, Dad.
In that voice, too?
Okay, Dad. The reason I'm doing the Lucky voice is because we have a minute.
Time. Good big five there.
Thank you.
Zion, the NBA trade deadline is right around the corner. I think it's 5 days.
He's not going to be
from
moved.
No, he who knows? There's a lot of activity with the Pelicans. Apparently, the Pelicans are in on Jimmy Butler, perhaps, and that would be. Uh-oh. What happened?
I got to check and see before I go and announce this. But go ahead.
That would be very Pat Riley-esque. That he sent him to the Pelicans. Sends Jimmy Butler to the Pelicans after all this. That would be. Is that the equivalent of? Where's the place they want to? They say you want to send you to far, far away.
Oh, Timbuktu.
Is that the equivalent of Timbuktu in the NBA? No, I guess the Wizards would be probably the worst place you go.
That would be pretty bad. I have to
You got me on pins and needles right now.
I know. We can go to break, but I think there may be. I may have. Thank God I didn't say it, because I'm doing more research.
We'll get to the other side and find out what this big secret is Scravy's got holding on to.
Don't anyone care about it until we get back.
Gwynn and Chris. Well, I found out what the secret was. And it was really just a false alarm. 5:01 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Scraby, last hour, the happy hour. We went into the break kind of like, well, I went into the break kind of like, what's about to happen? What's about to happen? Did somebody curse? I was thinking all kinds of things. But there was apparently what we thought might be a trade of Dylan Cease, only to find out that it was a fake tweet.
It was a fake tweet. I don't blame the person that broke the news.
Not at all.
Because they're usually pretty good. And
we're all on high alert right now. So I get it.
I once retweeted and announced something from Jeff Passan, Geoff Passan.
Yes, you did.
So no, Dylan Cease. You can't trade Dylan Cease the day he's making jumbo jacks.
Oh, yes, you can.
Can you imagine walking in and be like, "Sorry, Dylan, you got to stop making that jumbo jack."
Hey, Dylan, we're gonna need you to come away from the grill.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
You've been moved
to McDonald's.
No, but nonetheless, yes, no trade, no Dylan Cease move. He will be, as of right now, at FanFest.
Thankfully.
One
of my things I said in the break was, he can't be traded. He's coming on our show tomorrow.
Right, yeah, that's what all Scraby was thinking about, by the way. Our show and not having Dylan Cease on it after he had already announced it.
Yes.
You had some Ipe news.
There is a very interesting development in the Ipe Mizuhara story. And Ipe was Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, and he stole a bunch of money from him and gambled, and he got fired, and now he's facing sentencing. But the federal prosecutors, he says that he has a gambling addiction. He has a long-standing addiction to gambling. Go ahead.
Who does?
Ipe.
Ipe does.
Ipe said that he was remorseful and blamed the crime on what he called a long-standing addiction to gambling in which he frequented casinos 4 to 5 times a week. Well, I guess they did a bunch of research on this, and they're saying that there's minimal evidence of his past legal gambling, stating that investigators have looked at more than 30 casinos across the country, and the only evidence found was defendant spending $200 at the Mirage Casino during a weekend in 2008. Ipe also told people that he was living paycheck to paycheck, but I guess when he was arrested, he had $195,000 in his account. Here's what I find weird. Why say this? Because that was all way back in the rearview mirror, the Ohtani Ipe stuff.
Okay, what does it change though by bringing it up?
This makes me think that there is funny business happening. You do not just become a $12 million gambler.
You know how they say money doesn't make it only brings out some of your worst things about yourself?
Yeah.
So if he was living paycheck to paycheck, he could only gamble so much with going paycheck, assuming he wasn't making.
Well, they're saying he's lying about that.
Who's saying he's lying?
The federal prosecutors are saying that he's lying about that. The prosecutors wrote, "This is not true about he's living paycheck to paycheck. He was using Ohtani's debit card to pay his rent. He had no expenses, no loans, car
I'm talking
payments,
about
or rent
before
expenses."
Ohtani. He was living paycheck to paycheck.
No,
obviously when Ohtani's around.
Ohtani
But that's
gave him a Porsche,
that's my point though, is that he all of a sudden had access to money that he never had access before. So if you already kind of are a gambler and now you have access to literally millions of dollars, wouldn't that only bring that further out of you?
The answer is yes, but I think addictions are all the same mentally. You just use different substances. And his substance was gambling. My substance was alcohol. And I started at those little tiny airplane shots, and I ended 8 years later drinking 2 bottles of whiskey a day. Like, it just doesn't happen overnight.
But my point, this clearly didn't happen overnight.
But they're saying that they don't believe that he has a gambling addiction. And that's why I find it so strange that they even release this stuff.
You got to have money to gamble.
But I don't think that's necessary. Yes, you do, but
no, it's unequivocal. You have to have money in order to gamble.
Yeah, but he could take out credit cards and do lines of credit on the credit card.
But this is better. You don't have to be in debt. You're just taking somebody else's money.
I guess someone makes a good point that he could have done this because they were looking at legal casinos and legal bets,
Yeah,
he could have been doing it.
I mean, they basically found him doing illegal betting. It wasn't in the casinos. This was the bookie that this whole thing happened with. That wasn't legal betting. That was
No, you're right.
So I mean, he probably was underground getting his fix in that way.
I think it's
you just want this to somehow come back and connect to Ohtani.
Because it's weird that this news came out.
That's the only reason why you're talking about it.
I don't think Ohtani is as innocent. Let me say this. I don't think that he bet on any sports. I'm not going to go that far.
Where are you going?
I'm going to say that he knew that Ipe was gambling with his money.
How many people do you know would allow someone to bet this kind of money of their own?
Well, I know no one.
I don't know anyone.
Because Ohtani is the rich of the rich.
I know
he gave him his debit card to pay rent.
I don't know if I know Ohtani rich of the rich, but I know some dudes who got some deep pockets. And I can't think of any of them that would be like, yeah, man, here's my debit card, man. Go get yourself $100,000 out of there and go on down to the casino.
Kurt Kenny has a question for us.
What's Kurt got?
He just said, what I want to know is how he was allowed to lose $40 million with no visible means of being able to pay it off. Would anyone even let you be down $1 million and let you keep betting? That's a good point, Kirk. It's a good point.
He bet $40 million?
I think in like total.
Oh, and it was all said.
It wasn't like on one bet.
I mean, that just means that's how much money Ohtani. He not even like noticing it.
That's why it's so strange.
I mean, but this dude also just signed a contract for however many.
$2 million a year.
Yeah, but he's making so much in endorsements, and that was in Anaheim before he even signed this deal.
That's true. I will give you that. That's true. I don't, again, think Ohtani bet, but I do think
you want him to be guilty so bad.
He's not guilty of anything other than helping his friend further a gambling addiction. But that would be really hard. Like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk wouldn't notice $40 million from their bank account gone. But Ohtani, he's not even that rich to not notice $40 million. I guess it's over time, too, so...
Yeah, it's not like he just, like, one day $40 million was missing. It was.
Can you imagine? $40 million on black. That would be crazy.
I mean, that's pretty easy way to blow your cover that you're stealing money from your buddy.
Oh, Kirk is... I should stop getting information from all different places, but now that I've mentioned that, he said he supposedly lost $40 million. He bet more than $100 million. He lost $40 million.
So it wasn't really emptying out like that. He was able to win, and it probably was going back in.
Chasing his losses.
Oof, man, that's a bad place to be.
I do love this quote from the federal prosecutor. Quote, all defendants claim to be remorseful at the time of sentencing.
Facts.
The question courts must answer is whether the defendant is truly remorseful or whether they are just sorry they were caught.
Yeah. And most people are sorry they are caught.
Yeah, because he would still be doing this if he was.
I have a sneaky suspicion he would still be getting off in some of these huge poker games that he got caught up in. I go back to that feeling in Korea.
I know,
when,
you
like,
got a front row
news
seat.
Broke and like Stan Kasten and all the ownership are like walking really fast, like kind of just like, let's get out of here, man. It's not gonna be good.
And then
like a couple hours later, boom.
I remember waking up. I'm like, what?
And it was like a slow kind of burn almost, because I remember the story popping up on ESPN, and like, you know, it's one of those stories. It's not like someone, got into an accident or where it's like instant. You had to kind of like read it, digest it.
You couldn't understand
and then
it.
Then try to figure out how to
like,
understand
wait, Ohtani was betting? No, his interpreter was, but was he giving his interpreter money? It took a little bit for us to figure out exactly what happened.
But then once it got going, boy, it was like, this could be bad.
This could be really bad, and that's why Rob Manfred scurried over to his money tree and paid off the government so that they could move along.
Philly, the Philadelphia 76ers, Denver Nuggets locked in a close one in the first quarter, 34-33, 26 seconds left to go in the first quarter. As we said before this show started, not a lot popping here today in sports. Cowboys, they continue their hiring.
Who did they hire?
They hire Cards offensive line coach Adams as offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Yeah, Clayton Adams. Not sure who Clayton is, but he was obviously the offensive line coach for the Cardinals this year. He'll be the offensive coordinator.
I like when
year
guys
for
get
Cowboys.
promotions.
Yeah, that's nice.
And there's a couple guys that, like the Detroit Lions promoted someone from within, and I've never heard of that guy, but he's probably pretty good if they promoted him.
Tanner Engstrand. He follows Aaron Glenn from Detroit to New Jersey. He'll be an assistant on that staff. So some of these coaching spots that filled up are starting to kind of fill out the rest of their coaching staff as they get closer to,
Did you hear Kyle Shanahan got in trouble for naming an offensive coordinator before he officially interviewed people for it?
Can't do that. Can't do that, Kyle.
Because he
against the rules.
Promoted from
Rooney
within.
rules.
Yeah, he promoted from within, and he didn't, I guess, officially hire him, but he did announce that he was the offensive coordinator, and the NFL would be like, "Hey, you didn't fulfill the requirements."
Little slap on the wrist.
So he and Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator. I wonder how that's gonna go.
He's back.
I know that Fred Warner is very excited.
I'm
about
sure.
it.
Fred had some of his best years under him. All right, let's get to break. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side. Here is some traffic.
From the 855.
outside of FanFest. Do you know how we're getting close to baseball season, Scrape?
Is it because the light is staying lighter outside?
That's another indication.
It's 5:20. I can still see some light outside.
Still some light out there. It was like 4:45. It was starting to be like dark.
I kind of like it.
I do too.
But then once I get to summer, I'm like, I kind of like this more.
But I also don't like it because the sun comes up way earlier.
True.
And the way my house it like comes right into the window. And so
no.
like I need
in your bedroom?
Yes, I need pitch black.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
I mean, gotta check the sun.
What happens is our dog Axel will get up because sometimes we have the window cracked and he wants to cool air, so he'll get up and he'll slide into the curtains and it cracks. It leaves a crack in there where the sun can get in, and it's like once I'm up. I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah, I mean I'm the same way, but that is a bummer.
Yeah, so but my point is the reason why I know it's close. It's because Jesse Agler's newsletters are popping up now. So I think this may be the third or fourth iteration of the 2025 year.
Everybody go sign up for this newsletter.
It's a great newsletter.
It is.
He's always got some good nuggets, especially on a day like this when literally nothing is happening in sports.
Yeah.
We can lock in on this newsletter.
And I know that Jesse's going to present something that has substance to it.
Always.
Yes.
He's not just, trust me, he's not just writing this newsletter just to
write
show off his writing
words,
skills.
yes.
Right. That's not what he's doing. By the way, baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Two things that Scraby highlighted in his newsletter. Why don't you take it?
Okay, well, I thought the first thing that was interesting was the ABS system, the automated balls and strike system that's going to be coming to spring training. And Jesse kind of... I'm going to make everyone sign up for Jesse's newsletter so they can see this graphic so that I'm not just giving away all of his secrets. But, Tony, look at the strike zone. He has a graphic that shows like an oval that is the umpire strike zone. And then he has the ABS strike zone. And so there's different spots that are going to be hit with the ABS strike zone over the umpire called strike zone. So they're going to have to measure every single player in spring training so that they can have these things ready to go so that a player can't really mess with the system, make themselves short.
Duck,
or be tall or
right.
Something like that. So they're going to do this, and the Padres are going to play in 26 exhibition games with ABS in place, which is among the most in all of baseball for spring training. But the challenge system, for just real quick, reviews of ball strike calls can only be initiated via challenge by the pitcher, catcher, or batter. Each team begins the game with 2 challenges. If you're wrong, you lose 1. If you're right, you don't. That's
so if you guess or if you use
wrong.
one and you get it wrong, you lose the other one, or
no, you
just lose that one.
You just lose that one.
Okay.
If you're right, you don't lose it. You can still take your 2 challenges. I always find this funny. Which player is the one that's going to be like, nope, I know, on the Padres?
It's going to be funny.
And Mike Schultz going to be like, we only got 1 left. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You better be sure.
Yeah, exactly. You better be sure.
What's interesting about this, and I think this is kind of what Jesse's getting at with his, if you have a chance to go look at it, you can kind of see the drawing he put up there. The red circle being the umpire called zone, and what ABS has, which is a straight square.
Yeah, just straight up square. A rectangle.
A rectangle. The umpire called strike is an oval. It's closer to a circle, but we'll go with oval. That being said, I think this is why we are so far away from an ABS system calling all the balls and strikes, because of how technical the computer system is with the zone versus the zone that we've all grown up watching.
It's going to be weird because Jesse goes on to say in his newsletter, go sign up for it. Historically, the size of the zone expands noticeably in, say, a 3-0 count as compared to an 0-2 count. The robots aren't going to make those adjustments. So we're going to start seeing strikeouts when we haven't seen strikeouts before. We're going to start seeing stuff like that.
Or
walks.
We're going to see ball 4, which I feel like happens far more than on 3-0 than a 3-0 strike.
Spoken like a true hitter. Spoken like a
I'm
true
just saying,
hitter.
One of the favorite things to yell from a dugout on a 3-0 pitch is, "We didn't get the memo that the fourth pitch is an automatic strike," because oftentimes 3-0, it doesn't matter where it's at. It's usually a strike.
It is interesting how that works
So
out.
we'll see. That's a good point. I mean, it's gonna work both ways.
Who's going to be the first player? Like, how? I guess you'll figure this out in spring training, but how do you think the Padres would do that? Would you say that Mike Schilt has the ultimate control over challenges, or does he trust his players to do it?
I think there will be certain guys that have the green light to
Manny
challenge.
has one.
For sure.
Fernando probably has one. Maybe.
The guys who have the best strike zone knowledge.
Luis Arias.
Luis swings at everything, though.
Yeah, he doesn't need to.
I don't know that he needs it.
Manny definitely.
Manny
though.
has a great strike zone understanding.
I'm gonna find it really fun when these guys think that it's a ball or a strike, and they're so sure of it, and then they realize it's not. Because in this diagram,
it's gonna be a sad walk back to the
It
dugout
will
on
be.
strike 3. Like, thought I had that right.
In the diagram, the umpire called zone is like it's shown to be much higher than the actual ABS strike zone. So like the high strike could be a high ball now because the strike zone cuts off.
You know what that means? Back to some hitters getting some good pitches to hit again.
Yes, Trevor is asking, can you show us the pictures? And my thing is, you have to go sign up for Jesse's newsletter to see it.
You're such a jerk.
That's not jerky.
No, it's not.
Jesse was the one who put it together.
Support our guy.
Of course. The other thing that he wrote is there's a minor rule change. The penalty for an infielder taking part in an illegal shift is now more steep. Previously, the batter could either take the result of the play or receive an automatic ball. Now they will be able to take the result of the play or be awarded first base. And for you fellow scoring geeks, as Jesse says, if that were to occur, the offending infielder would be charged with an error, but the batter would not be charged a time at bat. So it would work essentially the same way catcher's interference does. I'm not going to read the last part.
You should.
Okay.
Because the last part is what we were talking about, hearing Jesse's voice.
Yes, here it is.
This is the part that you can get.
The fun thing for me, of course, is that the great old trivia question about the 7 ways for a batter to reach first base is now up to 8. That's amazing. That's very Jesse.
I can 100% hear Jesse's voice.
Can you explain this rule?
Yes. So on the shift, you're not allowed to break the barrier beyond second base. If you're the second baseman, you can't be on the shortstop side. If you're on the shortstop, you can't be on the second base side. So I think this will also hold true. I mean, I wonder if it'll also hold true for being on the outfield grass. Remember, the infielders have to have their cleats in the dirt.
Yep.
So if indeed you are caught to have violated the rule, you can now take.
You have a choice.
You've always had a choice.
Oh.
You could take the outcome of the play, or it used to be take a ball.
Yes, now it's a base.
Now you get a base. So this works very much like catcher's interference. Goes down as an error. You get first base. Hitter does not get charged with a plate appearance.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times we'll see it though.
We don't see violations very much. The guys have been pretty good.
They're still
about
kind of sort of shifting.
Oh yeah, they're still shifting within the means or the guidelines that they can. All right, we gotta get to break.
Yes.
On the other side, Sam Dykstra broke it down. MILB. Talk a little bit about the Padres farm system on the other side. More Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Last segment on this Friday afternoon or evening. Nah, it's still afternoon. That's evening, right? No, 5 o'clock's evening, right? That's what we decided.
We've looked this up like 7 times.
I think it was
keep
5 o'clock.
forgetting. What is evening? Evening. The period of time usually about from 6 p.m. to bedtime. So we're still in afternoon.
Still in afternoon. So last segment of the afternoon. What you got? Oh, see?
I'm not going to forget.
Thank you. We do need to take care of some business. Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Cameron Bacon of El Cajon. Give us a call back within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. So, Cameron, you're on the clock. 10 minutes.
Cameron Bacon. I like that name.
It's a good bacon. It's a good bacon.
It's a good bacon. I guess, do you have to kind of like bacon if your last name is Bacon?
I don't see how you don't like bacon.
Okay, I can tell you.
Unless you don't like swine. Of course.
Swine. When I went to Ireland, they have a different type of bacon. It's not strips of bacon.
Ireland bacon? Not like Canadian bacon?
No. Irish bacon? That was a good one. That's right up my alley. They have steaks of bacon. And I was staying
kind of thick.
Very thick. And I was staying at my brother-in-law's family's house, and his mom made us bacon sandwiches every day.
Were they good?
They were good, but after about 6 days of drinking and eating bacon sandwiches, like we couldn't do it anymore. We couldn't.
Man.
It was like a thick, like spam-sized thing of bacon. Ugh. I also ate guacamole from a tube in Ireland. So
that's how they doing it in Ireland, huh? Bacon sandwiches with bacon patties, basically.
Basically, yeah. They also have something called blood sausage, which I'm not a fan of either.
You want to explain that?
I don't know the actual definition of a blood sausage, but
by the way, I mentioned Tanner Engstrand.
Yes.
Actually, we found out via the chat, West Hills High, quarterback.
That's right. West Hills. Good
There's
for him.
quite a few San Diegans moving up in the world in the NFL. Gosh, there was another group here that recently signed that have San Diego ties as well.
A group?
I mean, there was two. Wasn't Kevin, obviously. Somebody just got a GM job that was affiliated with
San Diego.
I'll
have to look.
I think they were at San Diego State or somewhere, something along the lines of connection to San Diego. I can't remember, but there's another one. Tanner Engstrand takes over as Jets offensive coordinator. So congratulations to him.
Why can't they announce me as like a coach or something?
Because you don't have any credentials in that area, buddy.
What are you talking about?
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I was the greatest scout team player on La Costa Canyon's 2003 football team. Blood sausage, Tony.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
It's a bratwurst, but it's a sausage filled with blood that is cooked or dried and mixed with filler until it is thick enough to solidify when cooled. Most commonly, the blood of pig, sheep, lamb, cow, chicken, or goose. I'm telling you.
Let me tell you something, y'all. You guys were going wild about oxtail, but blood sausage
is pretty disgusting.
That I'm just saying.
But people love it over there.
Hey, to each his own.
You get your blood sausage, and then you get your beans, your franks, and you eat your steak of bacon, and you're good.
Your steak of bacon.
You grab your beer at like 6 a.m. in Ireland, and you just.
They seem like they got it working out there.
Only spot in the world I asked to stop drinking.
Oh, wow.
That's how bad it was.
And this was in the heyday.
This is the heyday, and I thought I was ready.
Yeah, they tapped you. They tapped you out in Ireland, huh?
I guess I still. This was like 8 years or 10 years ago, and the people still talk about me giving up as like a war story for them.
That's how crazy it was.
There was an American here, and he couldn't even keep up with us. It's pretty good.
That is pretty good. As we said, there was a little false alarm for those who might have just tuned in. There was a nasty rumor that Dylan Cease had been traded. Turned out to be a fake.
Fake account. Thank the Lord.
Let me tell you, for those who've been, actually, I don't need to tell. For those who've been listening to our show for as long as they have, this show was a little susceptible at times to the fake account.
A little. A little.
Scraby had some work to do.
I really did. I mean, I have become so much better. So much better.
You're able to see the flaws in it.
Yes, I always now, and this will help everyone else. Go check the name. Make sure it's the actual Twitter name. If it's Geoff Passon, that is not him.
It's not how he spells it.
No. Or sometimes it's like they put
They'll
like
throw off one little piece of it
Yeah.
that changes it but looks similar.
Or they
still.
put like a blue dot at the end, so you kind of think it's like a verified badge or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
But
it is a diabolical game on Twitter.
I don't know why people do this.
Have you met the people on Twitter? I think I know exactly why they do it.
I guess to get people like me to say it.
Exactly.
Hilarious. This dude.
Just having a great old time. All right. Our interview of the day comes via Sam Dykstra. MILB joined us earlier to kind of break down the Padres farm system.
From the
major leaguer come 2025, I think he would have been surprised. But they've been aggressive with the guys they really like, and for good reason. And what that's left this farm system with is those two guys up top. And then you look at, the rest of the group, it kind of comes from last year's draft. I would say that next tier, the Cash Mayfield, who they took 25th overall last year, Boston Bateman, two high school left-handed throwers out of high school, Cobb Hightower, who I continue to hear good things about, was their third-round pick, 88th overall last year, as a shortstop out of a North Carolina high school. So it's guys who are further away, haven't really proven themselves at all yet in pro ball, but they have some ceiling. This year could be the time when people start to catch on more and more to that group.
Hey, Sam, Greg Camarillo here. Now, I come from a football background, and so I take my football mentality and try to apply it to baseball, and that doesn't always work. But in football, every offseason you find a guy that you haven't heard of that shows up and can suddenly make that jump to playing on game day. In the baseball world, particularly with the Padres, are you seeing anyone that we haven't had eyes on before that you think might be able to start making some noise?
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, go back to one of the guys I just said was Cobb Hightower, the 2024 third rounder. Some of the things I've been hearing about what he was doing in the Bridge League, which is, it's not really a minor league. It's kind of extended after the year, just try to get some of these young guys at bats or innings that they may have missed, but they're too young for the Arizona Fall League. He participated in that. Apparently tore the cover off the ball. Showed a really good fast swing from the right side. Can play a capable shortstop for now. He might have to move to second base, but he's that type of athlete that you want playing up the middle if you can keep him there. And I think he's about to start this year right behind Leo Dallas DeVries in that pecking order at Lake Elsinore, with DeVries moving to Fort Wayne. And I think once he gets in front of scouts again and starts to show what he was showing late last fall, I think he could climb quickly, not only up these ranks, but maybe even be like a top 100 prospect by the time we're talking this time next year.
Let's talk a little bit about DeVries. I got a chance to see him up close and personal a couple of days ago. He is built, in my mind, a lot like Fernando Tatis Jr. Same kind of wiry frame. I have yet to see him get a chance to see him on the field. What is it that has everybody buzzing about a guy like DeVries?
Yeah, DeVries is basically the full package at just 18 years old. He only turned 18 in October. He's a switch hitter, pretty good from both sides, good bat speed, good power. Like you said, he's still young, still developing, so he could grow into more power like Tatis did as a young pro ball player. He's fast. We got plus run times on him, pretty good arm strength, but also he can play both shortstop and second base, kind of like what I was saying with Hightower. I saw him a little bit at second base in the fall league. The only reason they did that was because there was another really good shortstop on that roster in Colt Emerson. I fully expect him to play short moving forward. He has a basketball background. He was a point guard, which kind of makes sense, I guess, for a guy 6 foot, but he can move really well laterally. Once he adds that power, I think we're going to really see something. And we saw it down the stretch before he had a shoulder injury. He really adjusted to the Cal League really well, despite being everywhere he played, the youngest guy on the field.
Sam, when a young guy goes out there and he makes that big jump, what could be the benefit and what could be the detriment? You know, what do you want to see from a young guy that makes that jump to the bigs and gets out there? But then what could we be looking for that could say, you know what, this isn't working?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this is so many of these kids, no matter whether they're signed out of the Dominican Republic or, you know, signed like Cobb Hightower out of North Carolina, anywhere in the States, sometimes they come to the pros and it's the first time they've ever failed. Like, they are used to hitting 500 back home against much lesser arms or pitching, you know, near perfect games every time. It's how do you handle that adversity? And the Padres have been really good to this point at challenging the guys they know are supremely talented, like Jackson Merrill. You know, he played Double-A ball before that, skipped over Triple-A completely, and left the industry kind of scratching their heads, being like, why are they not only pushing this guy to the major leagues, but also switching him to center field? And we saw him grow into that role, right? The really, really good ones take their lumps early, but then adjust as the time goes on. We saw Leo Dallas DeVries do that last year. Now we have questions about that with Ethan Salas, right? He was not very good for the first 3 quarters of the year, really, with High A Fort Wayne, but he made those adjustments late. He was working with the major league hitting coaches in San Diego, maybe getting a little bit taller in the box, using his height to his advantage, and he was better towards the end of the year, and then he looked pretty solid when I saw him in the AFL. So the ones who don't make that adjustment, you can tell, you know, over a half season, over a full season, and those are the guys who fall behind. But the really, really good ones, like the Salases, like the DeVries, like the Merrills, they figure it out over time. They show that aptitude and that real desire to learn.
Yeah, Sam, I find that super interesting. Thank you for that insight, because these guys, I mean, they've been supremely talented since they ever first picked up a bat, picked up a glove, and this could be the first time that they've really struggled. How do you help a player through that? What does a team do to help a player survive that adversity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's explaining that everybody in the game has been through this before, as you well know, Tony. Like, everybody struggles at some point. You can point to the amount of guys who have come up to the major leagues for a time and struggled. Bobby Witt Jr., for example, you know, a few years ago was looking really rough. Adley Rutschman was looking really rough. Julio Rodriguez. Now those guys are superstars. And if you have that capability, you can do that too. It's just you have to be willing to grind through it. And I think today with technology, right, it's so much easier to show these guys, hey, you went 0 for 4 today, but you hit the ball 105 miles an hour 4 times. That's going to work. Keep doing that. Don't worry about it tonight. Like, that'll turn itself around really quickly. I think there are more ways to show guys that they maybe aren't struggling than just relying on batting average and RBIs.
Sam Dykstra joins us here on Gwynn and Chris MILB. And Sam, Terso Ornelas is a guy that I think San Diegans are hearing a little more about. Left field spot open. You heard that he may be a possibility here. What can you tell us a little bit about Terso?
Yeah, Terso's somebody who the power was starting to come together last year. at AAA El Paso, 23 home runs. He's going to mostly be a corner guy, so he kind of fits that left field profile pretty well. It's just, El Paso is a pretty easy place to hit. The Pacific Coast League in general is a pretty easy place to hit, and especially now at AAA with the automated strike zone, depending on what half of the year you were using it last year. In the second half, they were relying on challenges, but it did shrink the zone a little bit more, made it more well-known to hitters. So AAA became a little bit more of a hitter-friendly league. But it was great to see him take advantage of that, right? Like, it's one thing to get that advantage. It's how do you use it? And he seemed to do that pretty well, allowing the power to play. I don't think he's going to be a 20-plus homer guy moving forward. I do think he profiles more as a fourth outfield type who can provide a little bit of left-handed pop off the bench. He's not, the most athletic guy. He's going to be below average run times, and he's roughly a below average fielder. But having that pop, having a decent eye at the plate, he can maybe fill that gap in left field for the Padres right now. He's going to be 25 on opening day, so he's on the older side for a prospect. It's kind of the time that he needs to start proving that this can play in the show.
Sam, last one from us here before we let you get out of here. We've seen to cover a lot of ground on position players. Is that as a result of some of these trades that the Padres may not have any of those arms that not necessarily are going to be up this year, but are there any arms that we should be starting to look towards that can be that next big arm that this organization has?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take the long view, I do think Cash Mayfield, he is that next guy outside the top 100 for us in the Padres system. It's a really good fastball, a pretty good curveball, plus changeup, above average control, 6'4" left-hander. I mean, he's got all the ingredients there. It's just how is he going to put them together over 80, 90, maybe even 100 innings this year in his first full season. We'll see how that comes along. But I think he has the possibility to be the next big arm in the system. But if you're looking at somebody who I think could impact the major league roster this year, I think it's Braden Nett, who touched Double-A at the tail end last year. He's going to be 23 in June, so he's still on the younger side. Really good fastball, really good slider. If he can just stay out there more consistently, that's stuff that San Diego is more than willing to push pretty quickly and potentially help out of the bullpen. I think they want him to be a starter. It's still relatively early days in his career, but if everything comes together, I think Braden Nett could be a very quick climber.
Sam, great stuff, man. We appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us. We'll check in again, hopefully sometime during spring training.
Yeah, thanks so much for this, Tony. And I just got to say, it's been a real joy for me as somebody who saw you back in the Cape League a while back. I remember standing outside the dugout waiting for your autograph.
That's cool.
For us to cross paths like this again is really neat. Thanks so much for having me.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Sam. Sam Dykstra, MILB. Appreciate Sam coming on. Cape Cod was fun, man. That was the first time I went away from home, seriously.
Oh wow, that's far too.
Super far.
Did
there
you
was
have
no
a lot
coming
of lobster
back.
rolls?
No lobster rolls. It was just a lot of baseball, and a lot of just being a 19-year-old at the time.
That's also true.
Yeah,
I mean, you're in a completely different part of the country.
Completely different part of the country.
It's
so I'm not a beach guy. So I wasn't really going to the water every day. But
strange that we live in San Diego. Neither of us are beach guys.
No, right? But that place, I think, was a big part why I ended up getting drafted as high as I did.
Really?
Playing in that wood bat league, it was
Awesome.
legit. There was some players there.
What was your living situation? I know we're done.
I stayed with a host family, and the host family was so sweet. I stayed in contact with them for at least about 5-6 years after.
That's awesome.
But they knew I was a big Laker fan. It was the Lakers were winning, I think, their third title. It was second or third against New Jersey. And they used to clear the room and just let me have it watch the Lakers game. It was
amazing.
They were awesome. They were awesome.
Great.
All right, that's the end of the week for us. Back at it Monday.
Not me.
Oh, you're not here Monday?
No, I'm here.
Scrape Chronicles.
And we're
next.
also at FanFest tomorrow.
FanFest tomorrow. You can
Yes.
catch us there.
Yes.
But the whole group will be back Monday.
True.
You guys enjoy your weekend. Be safe. And we'll see you Monday. Have a good night.